welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are
the Yerky Boys.
This is a big episode, I think.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Okay.
I don't know. It feels like we probably are going to have a lot to say. I feel like I have a lot to say. Maybe
about
I'm wrong.
what? About what?
This
I know,
book. Book number 38. The Arrival.
Oh, yeah. This is the one that was published originally in January 2000.
Oh, shit. Millennium.
We're kicking it off, baby. We got a 2 in front of the year.
Y2K.
We're officially in the 2000s. We're in this. It's not old anymore. This is new.
This is brand new, baby.
This is new. Everyone was just coming out of their shelters from underground, their eyes bleary, squinting at the daylight. Huh? Looking around. I'm still here. It's a miracle. I must go to Walden Books and get the Arrival off of the shelves.
That is what happened. I remember very distinctly where I was when it was coming out of the shelter. That's where I was.
You there, boy. You there. What day is it? Why, today, it's New Year's Day, sir. Here's 6 pence. Go down to the Walden Books and get me the newest Animorphs. All right, sir. Like
I'm
that.
gonna kick that little British fuck.
Hey, come on.
In his fucking head.
What? Who said he was British? That was my Lithuanian accent.
You might want to work on that one.
I might. All right. I don't have any real business today. We don't have any. No one's sending us any emails. I think they stopped listening.
Them all off, yeah.
Yeah.
After last time when we chewed that guy out, I think.
I was thinking just in general, our 2-part episode, they thought maybe was too much. And they abandoned us.
Well, if you thought that was too much, just wait until you see how long we go this time.
No, we're not going to go that long this time.
Oh, yeah, no, there's no way. How could we possibly go that long?
It's never happened. Especially because, like I said, I don't have any news.
Yeah.
We didn't decide. If you'd like to support the show, you can. Patreon.com/theyerkyboys. We're supposed to fucking decide what we're going to do because we didn't announce it on the other show.
Completely forgot we were supposed to do that.
Yeah, it's mostly your fault because we're starting late as usual because of you.
Well, listen.
And so otherwise we could have been organized, but we're not.
It's fine.
So I don't know what we're going to fucking do. We're going to, I guess we have 2 hours to put it off and then we'll figure it out at the end of the show.
We'll do whatever you say or I say at the end of the show when we get there.
Okay, great. Can't wait to find out.
Ghostwriter.
Oh, right.
This book was written by Kimberly Morris. Pretty
Kimberly?
Spooky, I know. Kimberly.
Sirapedia says Kim. Does the book say Kimberly?
Kim Morris. Well, I actually found the person who did this. You know where I found her?
Kim
Never
Morris?
gonna guess.
Where?
On the Thundercats wiki.
Huh?
I did post a link to you just now, but she this is the same woman on the Thundercats wiki because it turns out before she wrote books for kids, she wrote she did like screenwriting or something for kids TV shows, and she wrote several episodes of Thundercats.
Maybe this is what we're doing on the Patreon this week.
Oh shit. I mean, we did Cheetah's last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I talked about Cheetara.
Yeah. But she did a whole bunch of kids' books after this, too.
Yeah, this is someone who actually... I feel like a lot of these ghostwriters seemingly either disappeared or they did one other thing sort of related, and then they got a job as a construction worker or something. This person actually has a career that's in the field of children's literature.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like, I feel like also, you know, it feels like ghostwriting these series is something you do when you're, like, breaking into it. And I guess that's what she did when she was breaking into writing kids' books. But she was already, like, doing work in, like, before Animorphs. Like, this was not her, like, the beginning of her career, right? She, like, let's see, she Yeah,
Uh-huh.
hired to write for Thundercats. Before that, she
Yeah.
used to work as a production assistant and coordinator on animated TV shorts of Strawberry Shortcake and Puff the Magic Dragon. So this
Yeah.
this lady's got a long career. This is a lady.
Yeah, maybe yeah, I think we can watch all 6 episodes of Thundercats that she wrote,
Well,
including
we'll
the
we'll keep you
the Trouble
updated.
with Thunder Kittens, the Mad Bubbler, Day of the Eclipse, the Telepathy Beam, the Formula, and Frogman.
Trouble. The formula sounds like an Animorphs book, and Trouble with what was it? Thunder Kittens?
Mhm.
Is that
The
supposed to be?
Trouble
Is
with
that
Thunder
supposed to be a
Kittens.
reference to the Trouble with Triples?
Yeah, I bet it is.
Well,
I
that's
bet it
also
is.
Animorphs related, so
So is
maybe we can
Frogman.
spin this.
Day of the Eclipse reminds me of the other week. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, because there was a eclipse.
Yeah, just to put us in a
Anyway,
place and time here. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But this, yeah, because people will now know. I mean, maybe they don't know where we live. Maybe they'll be like, I don't know. Maybe they live in Egypt and it's 2027 or whenever the fuck they're. I don't know. But
Mhm.
this woman, Kim Morris, this is her first ghost written book. This is not her last ghost written book. She is going to do 4 total ghost written books. So that's actually quite a high number as far as the
Wow.
ghost writers go. The rest of them are all like end of series though. The other ones she's going to do are 48, 50, and 52. So she's off these books for 10 books and then she comes back for the end. It is fully possible that she was like fuck this ghost writing schedule. I'll come back when I'm like wrapping it up and you have something more coherent for me. But
That's fascinating. Yeah, it looks like only one writer wrote more than her, who we have only read one of her books,
which
Ellen
one was
Gar-
that? Do you have
Ellen
that?
Garou, who wrote 33, The Illusion.
Okay. Is
She
she
has
also like
more
comes back for the end, or is she
she has a few in like a bunch in the 40s. Like
okay?
every other book at some point it looks like is her until you get to the end.
Okay, so she's who they're getting. She's doing
She's
like a huge percentage
consistent.
of the rest of season 4.
Yes. And then yeah, it's interesting that Kimberly Morris is coming in not until the end. Like that makes me think they put a lot of faith in her. They have confidence in her writing ability because I'm assuming by that point, not I don't know for listeners, I don't know in case you jumped in. You don't know the premise of the show. I don't know, but I'm assuming things start to move in a direction of finality by that point.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, that's her. This is an interesting ghostwriter for us for
Now I
sure.
thought
Yeah.
there's 54, right?
Yes.
Books. So Kay Applegate, which ones does she write at the end?
She writes the last 2, I believe.
For some reason I thought she wrote like the last 4 or 5. I didn't realize it was only 2.
No, she only writes the last 2.
Damn. Fuck off, KA. You abandoned us.
She really did. Yeah, she really
Jesus.
did. We're gonna get a Megamorphs. We're gonna get Elemis Chronicles, and then we get 2 more of her books, and that's it.
God. Anyway, we love you. All right. Well, there you go.
All right. Let's look at this cover here.
Yeah.
So I mean, the first thing that I have to remark on is that in book 33, we had a bird turning into an Andalite. And so now in 38, we have an Andalite turning into a bird. Now, they are, genetically speaking, the same Andalite. They are different species of bird. This is not new at this point. Like, as
It,
crazy and wild and wacky as Andalite turns into anything, like, this is not new.
yeah. Is that a red-tailed hawk? Is that what he's turning into?
No, this is Axe's morph, which I believe is a harrier.
No, okay. I don't know shit about birds. I'm a bird racist like Tobias, except I'm a racist against all
Yeah.
birds, not just specific birds.
You're the type of bird racist who can't tell them apart, not the type of bird racist who can, like, tell every minute variation in ethnicity down to, like, the region.
That's right.
The city,
Um,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, that is true. And you really, I mean, you wouldn't know at a glance. This could be a bird turning into an Andalite. I mean, you don't know
Yeah.
which direction we're starting from here.
Yeah, we never know that. Um, we got Axe doing weird things with his arms again because they gotta look like wings.
Yeah, he's holding them like he's. You know when you would hold your arms against the side of a door frame, and then they float up on their own.
They
You never did
float
that?
up
Yeah,
on
they
their
like
own.
yeah, they levitate.
I don't know this.
This is something from when I was a kid. You know those old Klutz books. This is Animorphs adjacent. This is
I
from the
don't
this
actually
is
know
from the
these Klutz
90s.
books.
Klutz books were big when I was a kid. I really loved them. They're big school, book order kind of books. They were like one would be like magic tricks, or one would be about lanyard. They would usually like come with some bullshit that you could. I had one that was like sneaky things you can do around the house or whatever, just like stupid shit for kids, activities to do. I don't know. I loved them. And where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I think one of those kinds of weird, stupid. I'm sure this. They didn't. Klutz books didn't invent this. This was a thing kids have probably been doing forever. Was like you stand in a door frame, and if you hold your arms for like 30 seconds or a minute or something, kind of upright in this axe position against the wall. I don't know what the fuck the science is of this, but then when you do that for a minute, you walk up and it's like your arms are kind of numb, like they went to sleep, and they kind of like move upwards of their own accord, sort of
Huh.
like your body wants to like the blood vessels want to spread. Or I truly don't know what the
Weird.
fuck. I don't know what it is. I haven't thought
I
about
never
this
did
in 20
this.
years.
No, I mean, like, I thought you were going to be like if you brace yourself in the door frame and then just kind of like squeeze into it and take your feet off the ground, because I did that. But yeah, no, this is weird. I should try this.
Yeah, everyone stop the podcast right now. Give this a shot. I just googled it. It's
And
on
probably don't come back. Is it
science.org.
worth it?
No, don't even come back. I mean, you can keep the buds in and just try it. Yeah, you'll feel your arms float up as if lifted by an external force.
Wow. We're the
There's a
buds, by the way.
there's a whole study about this. Yeah. Anyway,
That's cool. I'll
so
try it.
That's what Axe is doing.
You know what? I'll try it right now. Just everybody, don't hold
Okay,
on.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
going to be
yeah,
like a
yeah.
couple minute pause here.
This cover at least is it's not quite as standard as last week's cover in terms
Mhm.
of like it looks stupider. There it is fun. I mean, the
Mhm.
axe to bird morph is funnier and stupider looking by default
Yeah,
than
that is
just a
true.
cheetah. The specific, I mean, especially the second and third forms both have just look like really, they just look like shitty little, I don't know, like they would be the little kid alien on a cartoon or in a Star Trek episode that you would just want to kick the shit out of. Like they'd all be going on an
Yeah,
adventure and you'd have this little bird alien like, wah, 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 let's go to the zoo, wah, wah, or something, for the
yeah,
stupid kids. That's what that looks like.
I feel you. What I can't stop looking at, I'm seeing this tree branch because in the last
Oh,
morph, he's
yeah.
standing on a tree branch, which has now appeared out of nowhere for him to sit on. And the way that it is positioned, it looks like it's antlers coming out of the second to last morph's head, like it's some kind of weird, like jackalope bird.
Yes, this is very strange, and I cannot recall them adding scenery at the end of a morph very
Yeah,
often. If it's happened maybe once or twice, but why? There's no. It's not like we would be all questioning. Wait, how is this bird in the air? That it needs a branch to stand on. Like, doesn't make sense. Did he morph the branch too? Where did it come from? What a weird choice.
he must be an estrine. He can morph branches.
It looks stupid, and also this is clearly one of those covers where they just couldn't fit all this shit, and it looks like every element is crammed in. They had to kind of turn the birds upward at the last second at a different angle. It's a stupid looking one. This is not the best work they've done.
Yeah, it does look very dumb. Like in that sense, it's good. It's eye catching. We've said this so many times now. Imagine you're a kid, you don't know what this series is. But it's like, okay, imagine you're a kid and you see this and you're like, what the fuck is that? And also, why are there two other covers that are identical?
Yeah,
Like
which
it's the
one is
same, like
which?
What the hell? Apparently, this is just a normal thing that happens all the time.
That is weird that for the amount of Axe and Tobias books that there's that much overlap and I mean it makes just why? They didn't have to do that. I guess Axe doesn't they don't get any new morphs in this book, do they? So I don't know what
Yeah.
else they would have done.
Yeah, they could have gone back axe to boy. They did that one before too, but at least that one they did in book. Like they haven't done axe to bird before, but since they did bird to axe, I don't know.
Have him turn into a cockroach. They have cockroaches in the beginning. I know they've done cockroach before, right? Have they?
Yeah, they've done cockroach.
But I mean, on a cover.
Yeah, Marco did it in book 30.
Oh, he did. I couldn't remember if that was a cover. Okay, yeah, whatever. Forget it. I don't know.
Yeah,
uh,
whatever.
the quote once again is another. Hey, here's the plot.
Yeah, yeah, we are. I'm curious if this is like the new direction or if they just didn't let the new guy know. But
Yeah,
the quote here says, "Andalites have reached Earth. Will Axe leave the Animorphs?" So there's a spoiler
really.
about what this is about.
Yes, like I did as usual. I did not really look at this cover. I did not read that quote, so I did not know what this book was about. But now everyone listening sure knows that's what the book is about.
Yeah, now they know. They
Also,
won't be surprised.
before reading the book, I mean, those two ideas don't seem like they lead from one to the other. Like why? Like normal. I mean, I guess Andalites have reached Earth. Axe might leave the Animorphs if he was going to go live with
Hmm.
them now, but it's not like I don't know. That's not what I would. That's not wasn't the conflict I was expecting to occur when Andalites eventually maybe showed up to Earth. So it seems like
Yeah,
almost a non sequitur.
we can talk about this a little more when we get into the book and its themes and what's like going on with it as far as Axe
Yeah.
as a character. But like this is you can kind of see it from a long term perspective. Like Axe initially, like before book 8, his first couple books, his idea that what he wanted was to get home. Like in book 8, the whole plot is he's trying to call the
Mm.
Andalite homeworld so they know he's here and he can go home. And then like he kind of ends up fighting on Earth. So I guess there is some question potentially in your mind of if the Andalites show up and there's like, and he can go home now, does he go home and fight with the Andalites as opposed to with the Animorphs if that avenue is open to him? That is brought up in the book, but I feel like it's more explored on like the cover and the promotional material for the book than it is in the book itself. So like,
That's the
yeah, I don't
hook.
know.
If I mean, I assumed maybe he would go home once once the war was won,
Mhm.
but not just like, hey, we're here. All right, peace. I don't know. Like it's not like the Andalites are just going to show up and well, it's over. I guess maybe whatever. We'll get
Yeah, I
into
mean,
it.
yeah, no, we'll get into it, but like I think that there I mean that's certainly if that had been what happened in book 8, that is what would have happened. If the Andalites showed up in book 8, 8 or 9, Axe would have just been like, "Okay, cool, it was great fighting with you, but now my people are here
Mm,
and I'm going to fight with them." And
right.
since then a
Right.
lot has happened and Axe is going through some kind of a character arc, but we don't see that much of it and we haven't really talked about it and yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Some okay.
I basically agree with you on this point. Like I said, I think that you, as a kid, boy, we're talking about this. And we're not even into the fucking inner cover yet. But like as a kid, you see the preview chapter and the back cover and the thing on the front and like all the like, oh, what's gonna happen? Is Axe gonna leave? So like as a kid, you're very tuned into is Axe gonna leave? And like I said, I would fully believe that you, having read this book, didn't realize that was a question until you read that on the front cover here.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, I guess we could talk about the inner cover.
Yeah, I'm looking at this inner cover.
Uh,
There's bird axe next to a big old crow.
I believe it's a grackle.
Raven? Oh, grackle. Oh, Jesus, fuck off.
It's some kind of generic bird type,
Sure.
but there were grackles in the book, so I think that's what it is.
Yeah, there's a board game called Grackles that sucks, so I have a bad association with them.
Hmm. Fuck that
It's like
grackle.
it's not even like it's
That
such a
feels like a
niche
word you're
game.
not supposed to say.
Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, then there's a
Yeah, there they
parking
are.
lot with a VW Bug. Is that what that
Mm-hmm.
is down there?
Mm-hmm.
Pulling
Mm-hmm.
out. Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
I got an Orson watch for you.
Oh,
Although
what?
I'm pretty sure this Orson watch is bullshit. Because I'm looking for it right now where it says to look. It says, according to Seropedia,
Mhm,
so grain of salt,
mhm.
the license plate of the BVW Bug says Orson.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Uh,
I enlarged on Seropedia. There's a larger version
okay.
of the image. I zoomed in. Yes, it definitely says Orson on that license plate.
I'm not sure that actually made it to print, like that level of detail.
Oh yeah, but perhaps it's not in the actual book because it's just not. Yeah, maybe you just can't tell.
Like
But it
I got
does.
my eyeballs like 2 inches from it.
Originally, I can confirm it definitely says Orson. It may have
Okay.
lost that. It may just be too blurry to read. But for we should remind listeners that Orson is
Mhm.
David Mattingly's cat, right?
Yes. Yes. And
Okay,
he likes to put it on his inner covers, even
that's
though he was
nice.
told not to.
We love you, Orson.
Everyone loves Orson. Yeah, these birds
Otherwise, yeah. What?
don't look good, especially the cover bird.
It
Like
looks fine. I don't know. It's
that
just a very
is
boring cover to me. I mean, inside cover. It's like who? It's a parking lot. Who cares? I don't.
the
What's who
Axis
cares?
bird is like in the least believable bird. They go out of their way to give it a fucking branch on the cover so that it looks like it's posed realistically. And then when you actually put that pose over a background, you realize no bird has ever sat like that ever.
I bet one did. They must have modeled it after something.
It just doesn't look good.
I don't know. Well, it's weird that they're both facing different directions. Like what's happening here? I don't.
Yeah,
It's just I don't know.
I don't like it. It's just it doesn't feel like it. Yeah, it
It's
does.
like
It's
nothing.
not.
It's just a nothing. It's just
Yeah,
nothing to me. It's
yeah.
nothing.
It's too nothing to have something that like doesn't look good in it. If
I
it's
kind
gonna
of
have
like
something that looks weird, it should be fucked up.
the 3D cars. I kind of like. They have a little bit of that early, 2000 CG look to them.
Hmm.
They kind of look like an old PC racing game or something. But
Yeah, the
whatever.
bug is nice.
It's fine. But what is like that's not what is this parking lot? Are they outside the sharing meeting or something? I don't know. What am I supposed
Uh,
to This is not like a cool scene from the book. Like I don't know why did they pick a parking lot?
is this
Makes
outside the McDonald's when shit was going down? Because if it
it
is, that would it's a baffling decision to show the parking lot.
it makes
Maybe
you think is there something about that bug like there's a driver in it that's important, but I don't think this scene is important.
no. Yeah, no. This cover is pretty. This inner cover is pretty boring and bad.
All right, let's not waste any
All right.
more time
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
So
Fucking
the
sick of it.
inner quote says,
Oh yeah,
"Now
what?
or never." I'm not. Unless that's about Axe leaving the Animorphs, I don't know what that means.
Are there dots?
No.
What?
It says
None?
now hyphen or never question mark
Hyphen?
or dash whatever.
Oh yeah, no,
I guess it's
sure.
not a hyphen, yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's not. Yeah, they didn't write it like one
But
word.
yeah, but it's not 3 dots.
Now or never.
Now or
What?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, can you what does that mean? In the
Now or
having read this
never.
book, what does that mean?
They're like, oh, now is when we got to go for it, the mission, or we'll miss our shot forever.
Is that similar to last time?
Yeah, it's very similar. A lot, some
Okay.
there are some things in this book that are a bit similar to last time, which is
Okay.
not what you want after reading last book.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm not saying. I'm just saying in general.
Well, like for
I mean that.
example, there's some kids who morph into animals.
Yeah, that's a bit similar. I, I'll just say now that we're about to get into the book,
Mhm.
as a new reader at this point, sitting down to read an Animorphs book that I have never read before
Mhm.
is really like I don't even know at this point how I should prepare myself. I have I have no idea when I sit down. Is this book going to be dark? Is it going to be weird? Is it going to be an adventure? Is it going to be the worst shit I've ever read? or something that with some deep sci-fi concepts or somewhere in between. I- like there's no consistency at all at this point, tonally or in terms of quality. I'm just sitting down going like, what the fuck shit are you going to throw at me this week? And it's kind of hard for me. Like, I don't know what mindset I should be in going into these. So it's a little, I don't know, it's disorienting to crack one of these open at this point. It's scary.
That's good. I'm glad that it's scary. That's
Yeah.
very fun for me.
I'm experiencing fear every week on
See, if
this
you were a
show.
kid, maybe you'd be experiencing burnout and you'd be like, I don't want to, I'm just done with this series. But you
Yeah.
have to read it now. So,
Yeah. At some point I guess I did, but certainly didn't get this far. It happened a lot earlier.
all right.
Here we are.
Let's talk about this book.
Okay.
This book.
Okay.
All right. So we have a no my name is opening. This is a different
We
opening.
have a No, My Name Is opening.
Yeah, I don't know how to best phrase that. It doesn't start with
They
my name is
got
X.
the My Name Is opening.
It starts with Crumph Crumph.
It sure does.
But no, so we open in the middle of a scene, big action or like intense scene, right? Mr. King, Eric's father, the Eric the Cheese father, who is also a Chi.
Okay.
He
Okay, we'll put a pin in that. Let's keep going.
already we have to talk about this. Mr. King has been captured by controllers. He was he was investigating there's a new pro-sharing Yerk controlled newspaper called The Chronicle, and he was investigating their servers for the Animorphs when he was captured. And he's the Yerks are trying to they're interrogating him, and so the Animorphs are there as in the walls as cockroaches getting ready to rescue him. Um, whoa! So they turn into their battle morphs, and they show up and yeah, they show up in their battle morphs, and they easily beat up the human controllers, and they rescue him. But it was a trap, you see. So Visser 3 knew they were coming. So Visser 3 and a whole bunch, like a whole fuckload of Hork-Bajir show up and force the Animorphs to retreat. And God, there's so much just in this opening scene. They back into a corner. They're backed into a corner. Things are going badly when suddenly a bunch of Andalites show up. A whole bunch of Andalites. They just show up. There's like a whole squad. They're like shooting shredders. They're helping to push back Visser 3. Axe is fighting next to a girl.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, and he's kind of like, whoa, she's pretty. I mean,
Hmm.
and there's an Andalite there named Arbat who almost shoots Visser 3, but Visser 3 gets the better of him, and it seems like they know each other. It's like a whole big scene, but anyway, the cops show up and Visser 3 retreats so as not to be discovered, and the Animorphs get out. The Animorphs and the new Andalites get out. So,
Yeah, that's
like
a
right
lot.
off the bat, so much. And this is going to be a running theme throughout this book that every single fucking section I do, so much shit happens.
Hmm. Yeah. And you're not very
But
good at dealing with it.
well, I'm just I want to make sure everybody gets all the information. So I'm letting you
Right.
know up front it might be a lot.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, right away, talking about my not knowing what my expectations should be week to week.
Hmm.
We we start with Crumph Crumph. No, My Name Is.
Yeah, Crumph
Don't
Crumph.
I mean, I do love Crumph Crumph a lot, but I don't know. I don't know. We're breaking tradition a lot with these. I feel like at this point, it's happened a few times, and I don't know that I like that it's happening that much. I don't like
Hmm.
change, but whatever,
Hmm.
it's fine.
Makes sense.
But we start with this intense action scene. We start with unsettling descriptions of torture
Hmm.
as as he's being beaten and interrogated. Right away, it does seem like this book is taking itself much more seriously than the last book did.
Yeah.
Definitely a different vibe from the dumbassery that we experienced last week. This is like, okay, this is for realsies. We're playing for keeps this week. So
Yeah.
that's encouraging.
Now that's interesting because one of the things that I was thinking here, and I wasn't quite sure where I landed on this, but I was thinking, yeah,
Mm,
so this is now 2 weeks in a row where we lead off and like the intro scene is this huge big action sequence where everything's like batshit bonkers. But
mm.
last scene felt chaotic and stupid. And this scene felt a lot more like, even though so much is going on right now, it felt like a lot better about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess if you got the same vibe to that, like how much of that, like where is that coming from? Why is it better in this book than it is
Well,
over there?
I feel like in a vacuum, like at this point in the series, we probably should be starting off with more crazy action scenes because that's
Hmm.
just where we're at. I feel like things should be escalating. So I like that it's like we're just fucking in it.
Hmm.
We don't have time for for Marco who's getting a haircut and he turns into a fucking skunk so he can steal
Hmm.
some gel to look good for his date or whatever.
That's a really good opening plot line.
It
When
does.
we adapt the Animorph series into a TV show, that's going to be one of the B plots.
Yes. It is really good. But like I said, we don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
This is something that we have been waiting for is for
Hmm.
Andalites to show up. Not necessarily, I mean, I certainly didn't expect it. At this point, I wasn't expecting any Andalites to show up like until the end, or at least I wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't expecting it. Like, not that I thought it was impossible, but it wasn't like, oh, any week now those Andalites are coming. But it is something that's been foreshadowed and talked about before, as opposed to a Garatron, which
Yeah.
is not anything.
Yeah.
And it's something we're invested in. We care about this. We're like, oh, what's going on? This is interesting versus this is bullshit. So,
Yeah. That's a good point, and that is also a running theme throughout this book. Is that yeah, I would agree. I think that has got to be part of it. Part of what makes this less stupid is that it's not just like out of nowhere plan to kill Visser 3. How do we even feel about this? Jake's not even here. Introduce crazy new alien. It's like, okay, we're talking about infiltrating a Yerk project. We're talking about the Chi and how they're relating to that. We're talking about Visser 3 setting traps for them, which he should have been doing better all this time. We're talking about Andalites showing up. Like these are all things that are like known quantities and extensions of what we already know. So it feels like the book actually matters and isn't just, yeah, here's another filler fucking book for you.
yeah, and even without the Andalites, even before they show up, just the premise of a Chi rescue mission, that feels like a good example of like this is the kind of mission that the Animorphs should be undertaking every week or
Hmm.
month or whatever. That
Yeah.
isn't necessarily, oh, this is the be all end all of the Animorphs, but it's like, okay, this makes sense. This would happen. This is something. It's still important. It has weight to it.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
This
So
would have
it's
been like
much
the
better.
climax of the book in book like 12 or something, but at this point it is run of the mill
Yeah.
so we can open on it.
Now about that rescue mission.
Yeah, about that rescue mission. This is part of the other thing that makes the other one feel less stupid is that, or the other one feel more stupid is that in the other one you get to see the characters build up and be very stupid about it. And in this one we open in the middle. So, you don't have to think about, was this a stupid mission? But I think we're going to think about that question.
Yeah, in medias race, as I would
Yes.
say.
Yes.
That's how I would put it.
I say in Medea
Well,
race because after
that's
my favorite series of movies.
yeah, that's my Google searches. So, Mr. King,
Hmm.
until you just said it, I hope that
Yeah.
maybe you can point me to a section of the book where this is made clear, but in my view, it would never was. I just thought this was Eric. I had no idea this was supposed to be his dad. They
Uh,
only they only refer to him as Mr. King. They never say that's all they just say Mr. King. And I thought, oh, this is Axe narrating, but I guess he's a weirdo who calls Erek Mr. King because he's like more formal. I had no clue. I thought this was Erek the whole book.
It wouldn't change anything if it
It
was
changes
Eric.
nothing. It changes
Like that is
nothing at all.
that is the thing. Yeah, I mean, like I was just like, yeah, it's Mr. King, it's Eric's dad, and that does to me feel like the intended takeaway. But to be fair, Axe is a weirdo.
But then I think once or twice, a couple other people call him that too, and I was just going. Even when Axe was saying it, I was thinking this is really weird. But they never say, "Oh, it's our friend's the father of our friend," or anything like that. They just say, "Oh, it's Mr. King," as if Mr. King shows up every other book. Like he's been in one, I think.
He's been in multiple. It's just that he usually gets like one speaking line where they're like, "Hey, Mr. King, is Eric home?" or whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing Seropedia, at least according to them, is confirms that Mr. King is Eric's father. That is his full name. And this is another thing. Why? Okay, so in the Chi lore,
Yeah,
this is a Chi robot playing the part of Eric's dad. They're not really related.
right.
He doesn't have his own. He doesn't get a name. Like they don't. I don't know. It's just so stupid to
I'm
me.
sure he has a name
They just call him Mr. King. What? He
because
doesn't
they're
have a
kids. They
first
don't.
name?
It's
Yeah,
like how
but
you
he's
don't.
not. Eric is like 8,000 years old. He's
I
not
mean, you're
their
right,
age.
but they still act like he's their age sometimes.
It's so
Listen,
stupid.
problematic age gaps aside here.
I just that detail is so weird to me. Just I don't understand why. And it's not like it would be one thing if Eric got involved because Eric is going to help because that's his quote unquote dad. So this is important to him. But also it's been established that Eric has been spying on the Yerks. He's
Yeah,
infiltrated the
yeah.
sharing meetings. So, as far as I know, Mr. King doesn't do shit but sit at home and watch the news. Like, I don't know what the fuck he even does all day. So, it would make much more sense and be relevant to me as a reader if
Yeah.
the character I understood and knew was the one in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the problem with this is that if it was Eric, they would know him as a sharing member.
I did,
So,
I did wonder about that.
yeah, like in this case, what happens is the Yerks found some random guy, and they might start wondering, do they have human collaborators at this point? Or they might be like, maybe that's an Andalite, or they might be like, is this like, who knows what this guy's deal is? But like if it was Eric, they would have to be like, "Oh, we know what this guy's deal is. It's a sharing member." And then we would actually have to talk about like, "Oh, we're there's your collaboration with the resistance movement and Eric has to shed his identity and it would have like long-lasting implications for the series." It kind of feels like they needed a reason to introduce the idea of the chi because there's this part in the book where where they come up on them later where like they use them, but they didn't want to just shoehorn it in, so they were like, okay, we're gonna revolve a mission around it. But oh wait, if we did Eric, then K.A. Applegate would have to sign off on it because she uh she would have to then write that into the books. But you know what I mean? Like it kind of feels like that it
Yeah.
like you're kind of just like pushed into this.
It's weird. I don't know. I would have preferred if they either just made it Eric and made him more important to the book or just make it a different Chi.
Hmm.
Like I'm sure there's other Chi. I just like Mr. I don't know. I genuinely was just like, why isn't Eric helping in this?
Hmm.
I just thought it was Eric the whole time. I just assumed. This is what happened. What was that other book where I got confused about the fucking name of the ship? This is that all over again.
I think this book gets confused about the name of the ship too. Uh,
Anyway, it was
we'll get to that.
just a weird thing. That when you said, "Oh, Mr. King, Eric's dad," that was my mind just exploded a little bit. I was like, "Huh? Who
Yeah, I mean,
fucking
like,
said?"
listen, I do want to get onto this plan that they're talking about here, though, because,
Yeah, yeah.
like, okay, so we know that there's servers that are here that have information for this newspaper, and they want to hack into them, and the Chi, neither Axe nor the Chi are good enough to do it remotely, even though I know the Chi have hacked into computers that are not connected to the internet before.
Mhm.
using super tech. They have
Yeah,
to
well,
physically go there in person.
they have a
Ra-
firewall up.
Rather than sending the Animorphs in for an infiltration mission, Mr. King is like, "Oh, I'll just go in and do it myself." And while he's going in and doing it himself, rather than using his holograms to make himself look invisible while he does it, he just continues to make himself look like a human as he does it.
Mhm.
Uh this plan, if you
He's
actually
stupid.
think about how we got to, like, it feels like the sort of thing that's the climax to a real thing. It makes sense, and I think it works. Like, as far as the actual book goes, I think it works. But if you actually say, like, hold on, let's take a step back and analyze it. Yeah, like every step that had to be taken to get here is a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but, we never do that on this show. Not to
No.
beat Cassie as a dead horse. Sorry, I didn't. There's no reason to bring her into this. Not to beat Cassie's favorite mayor, but it would have. How much better would it have been if it was they found out that Erek was a spy and
Hmm.
captured him like that, and that just
Yeah.
makes more sense. And now we also going forward have a wrinkle of Erek has to find another way to infiltrate or something. Although can he just make a hologram of someone different like
Yeah,
every
right.
week?
He should be able to just pick up a new identity.
But it'd be something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like
It's
maybe you know what, the Chi are weird. It would make sense if he was like, "No, I don't want
fucking
to just
chi.
disappear my whole identity. We're supposed to
Mm.
live our identities as babies through old people. If this one's compromised, then it's compromised for my lifetime because I'm a weird fucko." I would buy that. They're weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
fair. And I mean that also, like, listen, Visser 3 is setting traps for them. That's like a thing where he's like
Oh
expecting them
yeah.
to come in and infiltrate and setting traps. That's like a very interesting thing that he should be doing more of. And it feels like a progression. It feels like we are, you know, potentially doing new things. They've got a non-animorph who they've captured working with them. That feels like the Yeerks should take some notice of that, even if it's not Erek. Knowing that there's infiltrating resistance people, they're not going to think, oh, it must be super high-tech aliens from the dog planet. They're going to think, oh, it's the resistance movement working with the Andalites. Would I want more resistance movement in the Animorphs books, and this would be there's a lot of good ways to tie that together, and it to me it kind of feels like the only reason you don't have that tied together is maybe because K.A. Applegate didn't plan that. Maybe this is one of those moments where she was like, make something up, and the ghostwriter was like, I'm actually good at my job, so I will.
Yeah. I mean, the Yerks are stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They also can't figure out that he's a robot. They're like, oh, for some reason I can't get into his brain. Oh well, I won't bring that up to Visser 3. I guess who cares?
Yeah, I mean they have very sophisticated. They must have very sophisticated force fields because they're beating him up, and they're not noticing that they're hitting a force field and not human flesh. So
Right. Remind me again. The Yerks know about the chi, or they?
no,
So what do they think? When I don't, I just don't remember when they're going. They're trying to find the chi ship or the Pemalite ship. What do they think it is?
some kind never explicitly explained, but some kind of high tech alien ship.
Okay, so they're just
Super high
like, we
tech
don't know.
shit. Yeah, yeah. It's like there's some kind of super crazy high tech alien tech. We want to go see what that is.
All right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
nobody knows who the Chi are except for the Animorphs and the Elemist and Krayak and the Howlers
I mean,
and the Iskward.
fortunately, the logic of this scheme has pretty much no bearing on the rest of the book. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's
like I said, in the context of reading it, it works fine, right? Like this isn't,
yeah,
like you're reading it and you're like, yeah, sure, they got to rescue Mr. King. He's been
right. They
captured.
they don't even give you a chance. They're just like, He's captured.
Yeah, yeah, because
Let's
we're too
go."
busy being like, wait, what the fuck? There's Andalites. Oh my
Right.
god,
Right.
holy shit. Yeah,
Yeah, but it could have been. It could have led to something more interesting, but that's fine.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, there are Andalites.
There are Andalites.
Pretty
I
crazy.
feel like we talked about this recently where they said something like, we're in a holding pattern till the Andalites get here, and you're like, oh, wait, is that what they're doing? I feel like that hasn't been adequately established as that's what they're doing.
Yeah, who said
Um,
that? The
what do you mean?
Animorphs said that, you're
Yeah,
saying?
like in some recent book, the Animorphs were like, we're not trying to win, we're just trying to hold out till the Andalites get here.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, in Visser, they kind of brought it up
yeah,
because of them saying the Andalites are over on
the
I
Anadi
are
homeworld.
Nadi. That's what it is. Right.
Yeah, they want the Andalites to go to Anadi. Yeah. No, it's but here it's once again explicitly reiterated, and it's like the point of the book in a very
Yes.
real way.
Yes. Which does feel like a at least a feint in the direction of the end game, if not,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
if not an actual
Listen,
step.
that's usually a good sign at this point in the series. If it feels like it's actually relevant to the plot, it's probably a good sign for the book. If it doesn't, you're probably gonna need to just grin and bear it.
Yeah, but it's exciting. It's like, oh, there they are. There's the Andalites. I have here's a question I have about Dracon beams.
Hmm.
At some point, one the guy is gonna before they go in and start fighting. One of the controllers says, "I brought in 3 Dracon beams,
Yeah, right. I saw that. Hmm.
enough to reduce him to a little pile of ash." So this doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah,
That's
well,
like saying I
imagine.
brought in 3 guns.
Yeah, the human analog that ought to be enough to kill him. Yeah, not just
Just one
one.
gun wouldn't do it. Like, do you just throw them at him? What's your? Are you gonna beat him with them? And it's I don't understand what you're doing with these Dracon beams.
Yeah.
The beams themselves, not the handheld, not the device. The beam. I brought in 3 bullets. Like, is that what he means?
That's right.
Strange.
Yeah, he does not say handheld Dracon pistols.
No, the beams, extra
Uh,
beams.
on the note of individual lines, Rachel says here, let's rock and roll, as opposed
Yeah,
to
yeah.
let's do it. And I feel like
Mm.
last note we had a comment about, she said something about rocking and rolling last book too, didn't she?
Oh, probably
At
before one
some
of their
point.
insane criminal rampages.
Yeah. Like, is this her new thing? She doesn't say let's do it anymore. She says let's rock and roll.
Maybe. I think she said let's do it pretty recently too, but
Mm.
yeah, maybe she's mixing it up.
Sure does seem to be mixing it up. Um,
She's really mixing it up this book.
all right. Do we want to continue here, or because
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think
like
we're
we'll have more to say about the Andalites as more Andalites show up
yeah,
in
yeah,
this
yeah.
story.
Yeah. That's fine. I will say that Jake loves cops, but
Yes. Once again, he's like,
what are you
"Oh,
gonna
we don't
do?
want any innocent cops to get hurt."
Which, by the way, at this point, wouldn't the whole police force
Yeah,
pretty much be Yerks? I mean, can't we just assume that?
yeah. They
Maybe
had
not.
guys on the force in like book fucking one.
Like, if they're getting to your fucking middle school principal, they probably
Yeah,
got the cops. That was probably step one.
yeah. Unless Mister Three is like, "Look, we got a couple cops back in book one. We don't really need to continue the infiltration of that. It's fine."
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway.
All right. So the Animorphs, they've retreated. They got out of this crazy situation, and they are back at the barn. The Andalites are not with them. I should note the Andalites retreated separately from the Animorphs. They are two separate groups. So the Animorphs, they're in the barn, and they are talking about what happened. Axe is convinced that the fleet has finally arrived. Like, hooray! They're all here, and they're gonna save us. And everyone else is not so sure. They're like, I don't know that I trust those Andalites. We're gonna wait and see. Um, Cut to Axe's meadow. Axe is practicing his tail fighting because he doesn't want to embarrass himself in front of the cute Andalite girl. And Tobias is like, why don't we go to the mall and get Cinnabon and maybe go look and see if there's any Andalites about? So he and Axe go to the mall, and as soon as they get there, there is chaos because some girl is going bonkers over jelly beans in the food court, which is, of course, an Andalite. Um, so they show up and they are like, hey, don't call security. That's my special needs sister. She's off her medication. Let her come with us. Um, But unfortunately, she morphed some random girl in the mall who's still there, like she didn't have a previous human morph. And this girl's brother sees them trying to walk away with her and thinks they're abducting her, and they have to run for it to get away. Oh, and I also should mention we do know the Andalite girl's name at this point. Her full name is Estrid Coral Dareth.
Sure. Or Darath.
Darath. Estrid
Not,
Coral
yeah.
Darath.
Or
So this is
Kirill.
Estrid.
Or Astrid.
There's no way it's Estrid.
Okay, yeah, that one, no.
There's a weird one coming up we'll get to, but all right.
Aximili Escarouth Isthil,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Isthil, Dareth. I kind of like Darath. I don't know. Andalites are weird. They have stupid names.
They sure are dumb and weird.
But
Okay.
this one's beautiful.
Yeah. She's a beautiful Andalite girl.
Can you
She's also
just
young. She's like Axe's age.
Oh yeah, sure.
And she's an Erist, maybe.
Right. Remind me, because I'm gonna just admit that I don't remember. But they reference the events of Lyra, and it becomes more relevant later too.
Yeah.
But they're like, be careful with these Andalites. Remember what happened on Lyra? Remind me what happened on Lyra? I don't remember.
So they got onto ship the Asculin and on their way to Lyra, and Axe was all like, "Well, I'm just gonna throw my lot in with the Andalites now because now I'm with the Andalites and I obey my Andalite prince, not my human prince." But then the like Andalite second in command guy, it turns out he was a traitor. He wasn't Yerk infested, but he was working for the Yerks, and he fucked up the
Damn.
Asculin and crash landed and killed everybody on board. And because of that, the Asculin was supposed to come in and do this whole thing, and the war was almost lost because of that. But then the Animorphs saved the day, and they won the war on Lyra.
I should read that one again. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a good book.
Yeah, I just remember the bright hole.
I love that bright hole. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, cool. I didn't. Okay, great. Because I honestly
Yeah.
read that and I was like, oh, I don't remember. What the fuck? Who betrayed him? I don't remember.
That's pretty funny because later on there's a whole point where Jake is getting we're not there yet, but Jake gets interrogated. They're like, "So you were on Lyra, and that sure was suspicious. And what happened?" And Jake's like, There's no need to bring up what happened on Lyra." I'm sure at that point you were like, "Please God, tell me."
I was like, it's fine. I get it. An Andalite betrayed them.
Yeah, I mean that is what happened.
That's fine. I mean, at this point, how long ago was that in real time? Is that like a year ago? If you were reading these books when they came out, I mean.
That was exactly 20 main series books ago. So
that's a long fucking
about
time.
2 years ago, yeah.
Even for me, that's like that's like 6 months or something since we read that, give or take, with all the in between
probably
stuff.
More. It would have been like what, August, maybe even July.
Yeah,
it was a long time ago.
Okay, all right. So I don't feel that bad for forgetting.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know what? One thing I'm sure I've said before on the show, but I'll just say it again. I sure wish there was more of Tobias and Axe being Shorms, because, and I feel like I've probably made this exact point before, but they, Axe is like, that's Tobias. He's my Shorm, my best friend ever. And I'm like, oh, is he? Like, I know that because you tell me once every 10 books, but otherwise it's like, do I really feel like you guys spend that much time together separately? Kind of, but I really wish the books did a better job conveying that relationship. But
yeah, we need more. We need more in general Axe and Tobias books, and it would be nice if we cut to other characters' perspectives sometimes.
Yeah, like it makes sense. Like I understand why they should relate to each other, but they just almost never actually show it. They expect me to do so much of that filling in the blanks. I'm like,
we do get occasional shout outs, like it was the last book where it was like,
Axe
is late because we were watching TV. Yeah, it would be nice if that happened like all the time.
Yeah, the problem is I'm not even thinking I was just reading that like, oh, that's just a throwaway gag. Like, I forgot that they're
Mm,
supposed to be best friends, so it like doesn't mean anything. To might as well be like he might as well say that about Marco, and like I don't know, who cares? But yeah, so that's just it's even in this book after they bring that up, it doesn't really matter. I
yeah.
mean, even Marco and Jake, that's almost part of their development, at least a little bit in the text, but they haven't really been best friends for a long time either. Like you said, they just don't. There's
Yeah.
so much time at this point is devoted to the plot or the individual characters. Like it's almost always it feels like them dealing with themselves and very rarely with each
Mhm.
other, unless it's like versus the whole rest of the group. Maybe I don't know,
Yeah, that's fair. And
something I'm thinking
thematically,
about.
that does kind of make sense. Like, there is some element in Animorphs of, like, yeah, we used to have this jokey, happy friendship, but, like, as much as we still want that and occasionally have it, we do have to put that aside for the commander lieutenant relationship because that's more important. That
Yeah.
comes up. But yeah, I mean, that is an issue when you're like Axe and Tobias and you're like, but we want to develop this relationship. You do have to show that to some degree.
And again, I mean, obviously, it's hard when they
Yeah.
just don't have that many books.
Yeah. Um, so, okay, so this is. I feel like we should talk about Axe's arc, right? Throughout the
Mm.
books. Because this is kind of where we're getting a continuation of it, right? Like we had, like let's in book 8, Axe wanted to kill Visser 3 and he wanted to go home. And he didn't trust the Animorphs. And at the end, he goes through this whole arc where he's like, I submit to Jake as my prince, and I fully trust you, and I'll share everything with you. I'm one of the group now for real. Uh, in book 18, he gets a chance to actually interact with real Andalites, and he's like, okay, well, I know I pledged my loyalty to Jake and the Animorphs, but like that was a temporary thing. Now that I'm among my people, I'm gonna go join them. And then he gets fucked for that, basically, because they get betrayed. And now he has to kind of come back and be like, I learned my lesson. You are my real people, and I should have known that. And then in book 28, he gets no development whatsoever. And now in book 30, we get to continue that story, in which we basically got 2 books total out of 40. And,
Was
but
there a
like,
thing in the Atlantis people book that was also kind of like a conflict with him and Jake? Am I making that up? Axe and Jake, or Axe like about
oh, no, I think in the Atlantis book, there were just a couple points where Axe acted out of character for a couple lines, and you were like, what the fuck is this? Axe wouldn't say that. And I was like, yeah, you're right. That is weird. Axe wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I think that's all it was.
All right. I
Yeah.
tried.
Um,
Go
but
on.
yeah, I mean, like, you can see this sort of, it's so hard to piece together Axe's arc, but I think earlier I was talking about Axe having this arc with, like, who are his true people? Where do his allegiances lie? What is his trust in the Andalite people and the Andalite military? How does he feel about them? Uh, like what's going on with his patriotism, and that's kind of his arc. And you had said, like, I don't know that I see that. It seems like his arc is his brother died and he's got to avenge him with Visser 3. And it's like, boy, that sure is fair because there are no goddamn books about that. Uh, Um, Now this book, we're gonna see some Visser 3 things, so it is gonna kind of neatly put those ideas back together eventually. But like this is kind of, I was aware this book was coming when I was thinking of that as his arc. I don't know if that kind of makes more sense to you now, or
Yes, I mean, I didn't remember that conversation.
okay,
A lot of things you say go right in and right out.
makes sense. I yeah often don't listen to you as well, so it makes sense.
I fully agree with whatever you just said. And so I was not consciously reading this book going, "Oh, there's that arc." Ah,
Hmm.
ooh, until you brought it up. But I definitely think that I certainly understand from your perspective, having read all the books. If you look at this book, especially, but like you kind of look at everything he's done up until this point, how that arc becomes more clear.
Hmm.
But yeah, certainly the problem isn't that it's not there. The problem is that they just never talk about it. So it's
Yeah.
like Even in this book, I mean, it's more also I think if the Axe books were closer together would be a
Yeah.
whole other thing where I would be like, okay, but the problem is that reading these books even a week apart when it's however many months removed, it's hard for me to keep. Obviously, I didn't even remember the fucking Lyra shit.
Hmm.
Like, I can't remember from one Axe book to the next, like where he left off exactly, because usually
Yeah.
it's kind of a reset. So I'm like, yeah, it's much harder to really follow an arc in that way. Like, I do now at this point at least go, okay, yeah, that's I see it. I see it a
Yeah. And
little.
it's not like, with Marco, we have a Marco's mom thing in book 15, and then we have two Marco books that are not about that. And then in book 30, we have a continuation of the Marco's mom arc. So Marco gets two books to not be about his arc, and that's still less time than the last time Axe had a book about his arc because he had one bad book. Like
Yeah.
Axe cannot afford. Neither Axe nor Tobias can afford to have even one book not be about their arc because they get so few.
Yeah, it's rough for them. I will say this about Axe in this book is I feel like this is a return to form for his personality or
Hmm.
how just his character in general. It feels more serious, but he still has the goofy moments. He still loves cinnamon buns.
Yeah,
I don't know if he brings up these messages in
I
this
don't think he
book.
does this time, but he does play with
Uh,
mouth sounds. So
Yes, but he just feels more consistent and more grounded and less silly. So it's
hmm
if nothing else on that front, it's like okay, it's kind of a reset to the foundation of his character. It's like, phew, they didn't they didn't just fuck him up again for another 8 books or whatever.
yeah, yeah, and
uh,
and on that point, I think it is worth noting that at this point we are barely into the book. We've had a pretty badass opening scene where I actually think the action was handled well as opposed to just like a complete clusterfuck. And then a funny scene, a classic like, uh-oh, and like going wild at the mall scene, which is
mhm.
also good and funny, and I enjoyed it. Like the it's pretty I think the book is off to a very good start at this point, like hitting both of those notes in rapid succession very well.
I agree. I agree. I do like that at the end of the first scene, Estrid says, "Don't worry, Axe Samili, we'll find you." And they don't. They find her
Yeah,
by
yeah.
accident.
They sure do find her by accident. I
So
also
that
like in this scene when they're trying to take her away, and X says, tells her not to worry and says, "It is I, Aximili. You are having a reaction to mouth pleasures. It will be fine."
yeah. I also really like that line, and it's not the last we'll hear of mouth pleasures in this book.
Oh no, there's a lot more mouth pleasures coming.
Brace your mouths, listeners, for the pleasures that are to come. I
Hmm.
call doing this
Hmm.
podcast mouth pleasures. Anyway,
uh, yeah. Oh,
so,
can I also point out here, fucking Rachel.
oh
There's
yeah.
a bit in here where Rachel says, Axe is all like, "Oh, the Endolites are here and they're gonna save the day," and Rachel's like, "Yeah, maybe not change our minds about who is in charge and who isn't." And like, I read that line and I'm like, right, because of how like I'm reading that line like Rachel's being kind of sheepish, like, "Yeah, maybe not do that because I know I fucked up last time," and then I get the context and I'm like, "Oh, wait, she's admonishing him for doing that in the Lyra book." It's like, who the fuck are you to talk, Rachel? Shut the fuck up. You just last book.
To be fair, who knows if the ghostwriter read that book
Probably
or
better if she didn't.
yeah, or maybe she did and she was like, "No, I don't think so."
Yeah.
But
No, no.
yeah, yeah, that's
No,
yeah,
no.
yeah. We don't let any Animorphs get away with any of their shit. Don't let any of them off the hook.
Yeah.
Call them out,
We're calling them out. We don't want this podcast to be too short. We got to call them all out.
except for Marco, because he's
Marco
just a
didn't do anything
scamp.
wrong. All
No,
all Marco did was tell Rachel she was the most beautiful cockroach in the world,
he did,
which
and
is a
she
great thing to
laughs.
do. Yeah, she loves it.
She likes it. Yeah. Oh, she's into it. Marco knows how to make her feel good. You know who doesn't say that? Fucking Tobias. Doesn't say shit. Say something nice to your girl, Tobias. She's being taken right in front of your eyes.
Tobias is in his cuck cage, like, oh yeah, Marco, compliment her. Oh yeah, make her laugh.
Rachel sneezes and Marco's like, God bless you. Tobias doesn't say shit. All right.
uh,
Next.
now, okay. So they save Estrid from the mall, right? And Estrid sets up a meeting between Axe and her superior, and is also like, oh, by the way, don't say anything because I wasn't supposed to be here doing this. I just snuck out to try being a human, even though I wasn't supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And Axe is like, that's a weird thing for an Aerith to do, aren't we supposed to? But you're cute, so okay. Um, so Axe is supposed to show up alone, but Jake is like, fuck that, and Jake comes with him. And Jake and Axe, we meet the Andalites. Okay, there's Estrid.
You're getting her confused with my name.
Yeah, and Aerith. Estrid is an Aerith. She's a girl Aerith, which is weird. It's like, whoa, the new policy of allowing women Aerists. That's crazy. This is brand new. But she's also like really talky and insubordinate, and she's not being reprimanded for it for some reason. It's kind of odd. We meet Commander Gonrod Isfal Senili, uh, who he's in charge. He's very like yelly and pompous and like, I'm in charge here, but he doesn't really seem to have good control over the crew's discipline or the situation. He's kind of embarrassing. Uh, there's Arbat Elevat Estoni, who we find out is an Apex level intelligence advisor, which I guess is like the Andalite CIA or something. And he is very like aloof and unfazed by everything, and he seems to be more like composed and in control than Gonrod. And we meet, all right, this one we might pronounce different. We meet Aloth Adamil Gahar,
No,
who
I
is
think
like,
that's how I would say it too.
okay, you would say Aloth?
Yeah, I think I would say Aloth, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at it and I was like, Aloth? Alith? Catherine Alith Applegate? Didn't feel right, so I said Aloth. Anyway, he's like a big, straightforward warrior type. These are the Andalites. Estrid, Gonrod, Arbat, and Aloth.
Yeah, I would say of them, Aloth is the one I feel like I care the least about.
At this particular point in the book, we know very little about Aloth. He hasn't done much yet.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't read this book for some reason and you're listening to this, don't worry about trying to tell them apart. It'll like because you won't. I don't think you will be able to from listening to us discuss it. Estrid
I
is the
think you will.
girl. Gonrod is the captain. That's like the
Yeah.
most important stuff. Well, and
Yeah.
Arbat we'll get into.
Yeah, we'll get into Arbat, and Aloth is like the I'm a big, cocky, strong warrior meathead type.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, that's like his. I mean, to me, I thought, well, whatever, we'll get to it.
It's just a lot of names all at
It
once.
is
You
a
know.
lot of names all at once, and I did put their full names up front here. At this point, we only know their first names, except for Estrid and Gonrod, but it doesn't.
Hmm.
It's not like a surprise.
No,
So,
no, they say them in here.
oh, they say the full ones.
I have it
Okay.
around when they meet them. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sure. So yeah, there's like some power games between Jake and Gonrod, right? Where Gonrod's like, I am in charge here, and Jake's like, fuck off, this is Earth. There's like a bit where the Andalites are holding them at Shredders, and Jake is holding them at Cobra Point because the other Animorphs showed up as Cobras. Whatever, blah blah. There's some talking. But during this meeting, we do confirm that this is not the Andalite fleet, it's just these four. Uh, we find out that the fleet has been diverted to the Rakam Garu conflict in the Nine Sifter system, as opposed to being sent to Earth. And these guys are here to assassinate Visser 3. Partially because Arbat is Alaran's brother, Alaran being Visser 3's host. And then there's like a exhibition tail match between Axe and Estrid because, I don't know, whatever, bullshit, dick swinging, except that Estrid doesn't have a dick. Whatever. Axe wins, but Estrid is very good. There's a bunch of talking, whatever. Okay, so this meeting between the Animorphs and the Andalites, There's so much information that happens, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot. I feel like, I mean, I like this scene feels like I have been waiting for it to happen for 30 books, to be
Yeah,
honest.
right?
But it that said, it is very satisfying. I think at least, I don't know, but maybe very is too strong. For me, it felt like a fulfilling, finally we get to see the Animorphs talking to Andalites, which I guess has happened a couple times, but this feels like the first real meeting of like, this is the situation on Earth.
Mhm.
We are telling you what's going on. We're all on the same page here about Viscers 3, about the Yerks
Yeah.
infiltrating, about who the Animorphs are. It's like, oh, this is something I've been wanting to see for a long time.
Yeah, because the only serious interaction they had was on Lyra, not on Earth, and they were trying to do Lyra stuff.
And like, I guess, when they went back to Hork-Bajir planet, they talked to
Oh.
they talked to the ghost of
Oh, yeah,
who-
yeah, sure. I mean, they
and they
also Axe also
yeah,
phoned home in book 8 and said,
right.
"Hey, the Earth," but,
Yeah, I
like, the
couldn't
rest of the
remember
Animorphs weren't there.
exact how much he really told them though,
Yeah, not
or how much
not
they
much.
relayed to anyone else. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it was on Lyra where they said you need to send forces to Earth because that's where the Yerk host is, and so now we're finding out that the Andalites are aware, and they were gonna send forces to Earth, but they diverted them to the Rakam-Garu conflict, which presumably is near the Anadi homeworld, and presumably this is Visser One's fault. She lured them in there with her brilliant military tactics
sure, that sounds like it would be good if that were true.
in Nine Sifter.
It also sounds like something Richard Nixon would say, don't you think? Rock'em Guru.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd get the little jowl flaps, but
Like Rock'em Guru.
ooh,
Shook my headphones.
yeah. You know who would love making that sound is Axe.
He does love making mouth sounds, that guy.
Very mouth
But
pleasury.
I liked the meeting. Jake and Axe kind of get to be badasses, which is pretty cool. They get to be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, fuck you, bitch. We're the
Hmm.
fucking kings on Earth. Y'all don't fucking know, fucking Andalites. You're fucking nothing. You ain't shit."
Yeah. No, it's pretty it's pretty good when Gonrod is, we brought it up earlier, when Gonrod is just like, oh yeah, so you were on the Asculin, which got fucked up. What were you doing there? And Axe is like, oh no, we got to tell him. And Jake's like, nope, nope, we don't have to tell him shit. It's all whatever. No need to bring up anything embarrassing for the Andalites. It's good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like fuck you, condescending to us. And it
Yeah,
and
it's
it works because there's only 4 of them. If this were the literal fleet, then I mean, that's it. Like, doesn't matter what Jake says. They're not going to listen to him. But
well,
I
Jake's a
guess we'll
pretty
find out.
badass guy. You
Yeah.
never know what Jake might do,
You
but
never know. And you never know when they're using the old snake bite trick. That's
that's
their
right.
go-to move now. It's like the 4th time they've done this.
It's a good go-to move. Yeah.
Just have a hiding snake ready to bite. It's just so funny that they present it as if it's this logical move, this
Mhm.
logical strategy, but it's only because they can turn into animals. It's like, what's the
Yeah.
old thing? If you ask a welder how to fix something, he's going to say, "Oh, it needs to be welded." Or, you know what I mean?
Pretty sure the phrase is when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, but
Yeah, there's different versions of it, but if you
the
step back a little bit, if they just had a gun, it's
yeah,
like accomplishes
yeah.
the same goal. If they just were like, "Hey, I'm
Classic
holding a gun."
classic John Stewart bit. If you ask the Foo Fighters what the problem is, they'll say it's foo.
He said that.
Yeah, he said that.
That's very funny.
It's quite good.
That's why he's the king of
Uh,
late night.
yeah. Well,
He's back on Mondays. All right,
that's true.
let's
Yeah,
not date the podcast.
yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah,
there's a lot to talk about here with
yeah. There's a
respect
lot.
to. I mean, I feel like a huge amount of what needs to be talked about here is Andalite society and
Yeah.
shit. like
Mhm.
gender politics, military organization. Like we
Right,
find out
right.
about apex level,
Yeah.
alongside the war council, alongside the electorate, and how they're all somehow intermingled. We find out that like female heirists are brand new, and Aloth is like, yeah, whatever. These fucking newfangled diversity hires. She doesn't know shit. There's Axe being all like, yeah, I would have been
Nepo
all like,
baby.
yeah, yeah, I'm the best after I beat her, but like, that's a girl. It feels kind of bad to boast after beating a girl.
Yeah,
There's all
really,
these things,
Axe.
right?
You're supposed to let the girl win, Axe. Like, come on. That's I guess Andalites don't do that shit.
No, no.
Yeah, the apex level intelligence
Hmm.
does feel like it feels a little much to be introducing at this point. I guess in fairness, it's not like I shouldn't assume that we're privy to the full workings of the Andalite government
Hmm.
slash military, but it does feel I don't know. It's just a little bit. There's something about it to me that feels like too much, or that it wasn't could have been introduced a little earlier or a little more gradually or something. I don't
Hmm.
know. Maybe for you, it doesn't strike you in that way. Like it's okay. It works okay, but it's kind of like all of a sudden, huh? Like what is
Yeah.
this thing
I
that
don't
I got
really
to
have a
think about?
problem with it. I don't know how much of it is because I like know about these books, but like the other part is that like it's very, very easy for me to just think of this as Andalite CIA, and then I'm just like, okay, so there's Andalite government, that's the electorate. There's Andalite
Yeah,
military, that's the war council, and there's Andalite intelligence services, that's the Apex intelligence. Sure, why not? Like I understand how that works in our world. So I just assume it works like that here. Maybe it doesn't work like that for Andalites, but they aren't asking me to understand how it works differently, so it's fine. I can just
yeah,
deal with it.
yeah. It makes sense. It makes sense.
Hmm.
And we also learn that they train assassins now separately from soldiers.
Yeah,
Like,
there's like because they're here as an assassination team.
or specifically Arbat or right is an assassin, or one of them like just is an assassin. Like, is their role either
Yeah, it's
Arbat or Aloth?
I feel like that is weird. Like Arbat, like at some point says he's an assassin, but then at some point it's Aloth who's supposed to give the shot, and Arbat is gonna like give the order, but then Arbat's like, "I'll take the shot." It's like weird. I don't know. It's like they're kind of both the assassin. I don't know that it's clear.
It's true. Oh yeah, Aloth says that he is the assassin.
Okay, okay. So he
Uh,
does say that. Okay.
he does say that in this scene. Yeah, I don't know. So oh yeah, Arbat is the Apex guy, right? Makes sense. Anyway, so there's that, and yeah, now the Andalites they're woke now.
Yeah, they're woke.
They're fucking
You remember Andalites? They're woke now.
women can be heirists. What's next? Coffet birds can be heirists.
Yeah,
Gotta be
I
kidding
was
me.
gonna see. I wanna make a joke that you won't get and be like, "What's
Go
next?
ahead.
Vehicles can be heirists.
Is that
That'll
an
be the day."
Animorph joke, or is
Yeah,
that
you'll get
something
it. You'll
else?
get it eventually.
Okay,
You won't remember that I made it by the time you get it.
I hope not, because it sounds like it's
Uh,
yeah, and more about the politics, the gender. Is that I'm
um,
asking you?
oh.
Do you have more about the politics and the gender?
I mean, like, this is okay. So we've kind of touched on how Andalite society is kind of, I don't know, conservative and traditionalist before. I think I have said that more like the more we see, the more it becomes revealed. And I'm curious how much you saw that and how much you were just like, yeah, I believe you when you say that's true. Because like, the more of it gets revealed, the more we see things like this. Like, no, no, women are not heirists. Now they are, but people are like, I don't know about that. I guess we saw with Aldrea, she was like, women are supposed to be scientists, not warriors, but I wish I
Right.
was a warrior, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like the gender might not have been that aspect might not have been as explicit, but even in the Andalite Chronicles, it was clear that they're more
Hmm.
conservative, rigid in their traditions and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I mean, okay, so I guess if we're talking about Estrid the girl,
E the G.
So, I mean, at this point, and it's gonna feel more like this, I know we're already pretty deep into the podcast, but there is more later. Uh, but
We should probably
but,
step it up a little bit. We should probably try
probably.
to step on the gas a little
Yeah,
bit.
but she, okay, so this tail fighting scene between Axe and Estrid, it's to
Pretty
me, it
hot.
feels a little bit fanficky. Not necessarily in a bad way, like, I enjoyed it, but it kinda does feel like, "Okay, I got myself insert Andalite character.
Mm.
She's a girl Andalite, and Axe is kind of into her. And she's an heiress, even though, they don't make female heiress, but she's an early one. And she's always like kind of mouthing off, but the commander doesn't really stop her. And then
Well,
she gets into a fight with Axe,
she's
and
not.
she's
She's
really good. She rules. She's so good. She's amazing. But Axe still beats her because he's so cool and badass, and he likes her. Like I'm kind
yeah.
of getting those vibes at this point.
Just to be clear, she's not mouthing off. She's braining off.
Yeah, she's braining off. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, well, I mean, I mean, later in the book gets even more, gets
Yeah.
much more fanficky. But yeah, I mean, that's fair. It is kind of just how these things go. I feel though, generally, when you have, like if you have a
Hmm.
Ninja Turtle long enough, eventually you introduce a girl Ninja Turtle.
Hmm.
like that's so it doesn't feel too outside the realm of. I mean,
Hmm.
it's nice to give Axe something to do. I think we had this discussion once, maybe during a
Yeah.
fanfic episode. I think it was one of the fanfic writers had a note about. I don't know if you can. My dishwasher's beeping. Probably can't hear it. One of the fanfic writers had a note about how they thought Axe like got the shaft in these books, and they
Hmm.
wished Axe could be like a romantic lead, and so this is kind of his chance to do some of that. So I didn't.
Yeah.
Later on, it gets a little more egregious, but I didn't mind it.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. This is not a criticism exactly. Like, I
Mm.
like Estrid as a character. I like what she does. I like the stuff with her and Axe. I think that's all great. It's just like having reviewed fanfics, I'm just like, man, I'm having flashbacks with this character.
Yeah, we should say if we say something reminds us of a fanfic, some of the Animorphs fanfics have been better than the books. So
Yeah, yeah. So that's not a bad thing.
yeah.
Now there is a part during this where she beautifully executes a Haldwura, which is old Andalite, not modern Andalite, but old Andalite for victory in 3 swipes. And
Yeah.
she knocks Axe to the ground and puts her hoof on his throat, which
God
that kind
damn.
of feels like a horny fanfic scene.
God damn.
Just
Yeah. They also say that she was assigned to the mission by accident.
yeah, that is what Gonrod says. He's like she was assigned here by accident.
But
We'll find out some other speculation about what she might be doing here from Aloth in a bit, but
yeah, I don't know if he's supposed to be joking because that's not true, but it's also not
yeah.
even what they're like pretending to be true. I don't understand that line. It's weird.
Th- This is Estrid. We assigned her wrong as a joke.
That literally as soon as I read that line in the book, I said that in my head, but I couldn't really. I like it doesn't. It's not really the same, but the rhythm is the same, and I didn't say it
Yeah,
out loud because I couldn't
yeah,
justify the connection. But you said it.
yeah. I couldn't help myself.
We
Uh,
purposefully trained her wrong as a joke.
yeah. That's
Um, the Kung Pao. So, also, I just want to point out they mentioned that there's one of the older Andalites, probably Gonrod. His fur is tanned,
interesting.
so like
I don't remember
older.
that, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
instead of gray hair, like their fur gets tan.
Tanned. Interesting.
Yeah, that's how I read it anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That sounds right.
Do we find out in this part about Arbat's relationship, or are we saving that?
Not yet. Not
Okay,
yet. We
okay.
do know that Arbat is like rooting for her in the tail fight, whereas Aloth is like, I'm betting on Axe because he's a dude.
He sure is.
Yeah. Uh, I
Okay,
just once again. I'm going to step in before we move on and just say, like, props to
please.
Kimberly here
We have time.
because there's so much shit in these books, and like there's so much info in here, and this could have been like so chaotic that it's impossible to follow. and somehow it's not, and I'm sure that whatever quote unquote outline K. Applegate gave her is not reasonable. So
It's a
good
piece of
job,
construction
Kimberly.
paper with crayon on it and glitter.
Yeah, girl and the light. Eris, the good tail fighting.
Maybe
Hauled
Clara.
Wura.
I think Clara might have put this one together.
Mm.
That's her name, right? Kay Applegate's daughter?
I don't remember, but that might be right.
Jesus. I'm gonna Google Clara and like it's gonna come up.
Okay. All right. Well, while you're doing that, let's okay. So the Animorphs all meet up in the barn again to discuss what just happened now that they've talked to these Andalites. Um there's like a bunch of stuff with Cassie like yelling about the ethics of assassination versus like just war. Marco is like, listen
It's
here, the
Clara.
real Okay, cool. Marco's like the real
I'm
issue
a
is
better fan
like
than you.
that we're fucked here, right? Like we're not gonna we already weren't gonna win this war, and we were just waiting for the allies. Now they're not coming. We're fucked. And they all start getting pissed at each other, and they start fighting because like of the futility of their situation. And Jake doesn't really have an answer for them, and they all end up basically deciding to go their separate ways, right? Tobias is like, fuck this. Rachel's like, you know what? I'm just gonna fuck the rules. I'm just gonna go kill people. And Marco's like, maybe I'll go spend the rest of my time alive with my dad. And Cassie's like, I can't justify killing Hork-Bajir in an unwinnable war, but whatever. They disband, and Jake is like, Axe, if the Animorphs have disbanded because it's all futile, then you are released from my princely uh, command. You can go your own way. You don't have to do whatever.
You
And
can
of
go
course,
your own way.
during this scene, Estrid has been spying on them as a rabbit, which Axe noticed because she's bad at being a rabbit, and she's like, "Oh, it's okay, Axe. You're better off with us anyway. Come join us, Andalites." So he goes off with them.
Did you?
Um,
We did find out about Arbat's thing. I don't know.
didn't we
It
find
happens.
no? Don't we find out about that after Axe joins the crew after this point?
Nah, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It's right before the barn scene. He says it.
Where does he
He,
say?
he tells him. He says my brother is Alaran.
I
That's what I
thought I
was.
said that part.
Oh well, that's what I was talking about. I didn't hear you
I
say
thought
it.
it was a different thing. Oh,
Oh.
okay. Do you want to talk about his brother being Alaran?
I mean, it feels like it's pretty important, right?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that, and then
I don't
we'll
know.
talk about
Well,
this.
yeah, we'll talk about it later. We can get back to it later. We already did a whole thing. I don't want to mess it up.
All right, sure, whatever.
I don't know why I didn't just say it out loud. Like, who am I trying to protect?
Yeah, it would have been fine.
The fucking listeners that spoilers for 10 minutes from now for a book you didn't read. Fuck off.
All right, fine.
Anyway.
Let's talk about there's
yeah.
light themes of revenge in this section, right? Like there is a light discussion about it. It almost feels like maybe that's a thematic thing they want to do in this book, but it doesn't really feel like it coheres, so you can kind of just ignore it and it's fine without it. But like there's some talk about like Cassie being like, "Oh, revenge is pointless and immoral." There's Axe reflecting on he couldn't kill Alaran when he didn't have Visser 3 in him, and there's like some things that, oh, when Arbat had a chance to shoot Visser 3, he couldn't do it with his brother. I feel like these conversations would be stronger if we as the audience knew whether they wanted Visser 3 dead or not.
Yeah, I guess maybe my expectations are low for this,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I was reading this and I was like, yeah, I mean, okay, sure, these ideas aren't exactly explored too in depth, but it did feel like, hey, we're getting into the real shit in this book. Like they're talking about when is it war versus murder?
Yeah.
I mean that's some real shit that they're bringing up, which has it's been a theme before, but still it's something for it to be said. Cassie goes a little too far, I think.
Yeah, as she always does.
She negatively judges Alaran for wanting to die. Basically, she like calls him a coward for not enduring horrible torture just for the chance at freedom one day. Like, bitch, you don't know. You fucking have Visser 3 in your head for a decade and see how you like it.
Cassie loved being infested by a Yeerk. It was her
Yeah,
favorite thing. She made friends with the Yeerk.
yeah. Fucking get off your high horse, your fucking favorite mare, you bitch. Sorry, I shouldn't call her a bitch, right? She's
You
a
need to
child.
learn the name of Cassie's favorite mare. I don't know what
Do
it
we
is,
know
but
it? Yeah, you don't
we
know it.
might. I don't know it.
I feel like she just said, "Oh, that's my favorite mare."
Um,
um, yeah, but so I don't know. It was something. It
yeah,
was something.
yeah. No, I mean
Rachel
it
gets
is here.
pissed.
Rachel gets pissed. Rachel specifically says no more Geneva Convention warfare, which is something you say when you're the good guy.
Rachel sounds like she's about to go off and join the Drode.
Yeah.
That's kind of her attitude, which I thought of, by the way, as I was reading this, and then I thought, remember how there's a Drode? just in the midst of this, what's happening right now, this interplanetary alien dispute. Remember how there's like an Elemist and shit?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
That's just also a thing that goes unmentioned, but that is something that exists. Just
We don't have time for the Elemist or the Dread. There's too much other stuff to talk about. Don't even worry about it.
they're out there. I don't know.
There.
Maybe Jake at one point should be like, "Hey, by the way, Gonrod, did you know the Elemist is real? You know that fairy tale and shit? Like, yeah, we've met him multiple times, and there's a guy named Krayak. I don't know. This might be relevant for your military. I don't know.
Might ruin his credibility, though.
I guess. I guess.
Uh,
Just something
do
else.
do I almost feel like I want to talk about the spoiler here for this thing.
Yeah.
Do you
Well,
want to, or do you want to wait on it? Did
I
you?
guess is the spoiler? Does it start this early? I wasn't sure. I assume you're talking about the what the Animorphs are up to.
Yeah, what the Animorphs are up to here. I mean, did you know what they were up to when they did this?
No.
Okay. At this point in
I
the book, I did not as a kid, but I will tell you when I figured it out because it is not it was before the reveal. As a kid, I
mm,
figured it out.
there's a scene later on where I thought this is very weird. Like
Hmm.
this doesn't feel in character.
Yeah, that's probably the scene.
But then I didn't go. I did not go. Oh, there's a secret plan going on.
Okay. Uh well then maybe we'll bring it up at the end.
Sure. I mean, I will say, yeah. So it didn't even occur to me that it was happening this early. To be honest with you, but I did say that this scenes where they kind of break up,
Mhm.
it does feel a little abrupt. But it works for me.
Mhm.
Like I think it's justified, but it does feel a little bit like this is very dramatic for
Mhm.
something that kind of just cropped up so suddenly. It feels like a little too they're a little bit too willing to say
Yeah.
we're done with this forever. All of
Yeah.
them at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean like listen, you can kind of forget cuz it's like, if you be like, "Oh yeah, Axe is for real. Axe needs to get off with these Andalites and spend a bunch of time with these Andalites. We don't have time to do all the morph stuff. We got Andalite stuff to do." Um So there's some of that. And like also this is kind of like the thing he did in 18 where he left the morphs for the Andalites, but like in this case it's not his choice and that time it was. So I think you're supposed to be worried like, "Oh no, he's an Andalite forever now. Oh no,
Yeah.
what will happen?" I don't know.
So I don't know if this is a backhanded compliment maybe, but it was good enough. It was fleshed out enough that I believed it, but
Mhm.
whatever I didn't believe, I was able to just chalk up to, well, sometimes these books are a little bit, they got to rush
Yeah.
things.
Sure.
So that's, yeah, what I thought.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know if you have anything because I didn't have that much more to say about this other than I wasn't sure if we wanted to talk about that yet. But
Yeah, no, I guess we get up to next these
Jesus
sneaky
Christ, yeah,
Andalites, because this is, there's a little bit of a lot of this book has that kind of mystery thing going on where you kind of feel like something's going on behind the scenes.
yeah. It always feels like something's a little off, like it's a little weird. They keep remarking on how it's a little weird. Anyway, Estrid takes Axe to the ship over by the gardens. It's parked, and it is called. They say here it is called the Crusader, although they later say it has a different name. Whatever, I don't know. It is an MSTL 37, which is a mobile science and technology lab ship, and it's now obsolete, which means that its weapons suck and it can't really engage in combat well. They're just sneaking in here on this old decommissioned tech ship. Uh, Axe comes in, it's like, all right, I pledge myself to you, Gonrod, because we disbanded, whatever. And Aloth shows him around the ship. We actually get to meet Aloth here. Uh, at this point, I feel like Aloth is far more normal than the others. We do find out that he doesn't really respect Arbat or Estrid, like, at all. Like, we find out Arbat is retired from Apex Intelligence and works as a professor. We find out that Aloth thinks that Estrid is just a complete shit heiress and is probably like a Nepo baby. He thinks she's probably like Arbat's niece who got fast tracked through the academy. She's a diversity hire, whatever. The crew all meet up and they say, we need Axe, we need your help to find Visser 3 because apparently the way they showed up before is they found Axe because they have his DNA on file, but they can't do that with Alaran. So Axe directs them to the next sharing meeting. He's like, he'll be at the next sharing meeting. Now, Arbat wants to know if there's a possibility of getting into the Yerk pool, and Gonrad is like, no way, Jose. We'll do the sharing. The sharing is fine. So they make this plan. They're going to get him at the next sharing meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get to actually like meet the crew and spend some time on the ship as opposed to just and interact with them as opposed to just like a shouting match type thing.
Yeah, this is all stuff that I enjoyed. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed, or it reminds me of Andalite Chronicles. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that this got to be in here because I like the just kind of day to day. Hey, we're Andalites. Is it's basically Star Trek. It's just like what if? Oh, in this case, it's uh, something else, which it's a couple. It doesn't matter. It's
Mm-hmm.
the outer space. Just don't worry. Just forget I said anything. It's outer space, military, how the spaceship runs, the roles of these Andalites, what they're doing in their spare time. It's cool, and we very rarely get to spend time with Andalites other than Axe. So
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed all of it. A lot of it is also just kind of something's going on and you don't know what's up with Estrid. She's Alaran's niece. Uh,
I guess that would wouldn't it? Make her
yeah,
Alran's niece, maybe.
it
Yeah,
would
maybe.
either his niece or his daughter
Yeah. We
because
don't
she
know. But yeah, we don't
yeah,
know. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that's true. We don't know. Could be.
yeah,
Um,
according to them, yeah. So but a lot of it is just like set up for reveals later on. So
mhm. Yeah, I mean, I did kind of want to check in with you on how you were feeling about the crew because I feel like by this point it is very clear that this crew is very dysfunctional. Like one way or another, whatever is going on with this like covert assassination team, they are not. The Aerith is out of control and just like acting all insubordinate, acting all like a normal person. The soldier, the intelligence officer is often acting like he's in charge. The head guy's kind of like blustery and not good at his job. The big soldier type is all like, "Yeah, fuck the command, fuck all these guys." Like it's not a normal team,
yes,
right?
it's clearly there's something going on that, or I guess the assumption is that the Andalites don't give a shit about Earth, and
Hmm.
they just sent just the dregs of the army to deal
Yeah.
with this. I mean, I guess I'll just say that I don't know. I wrote this note later on, but basically they feel like the guardians of the galaxy of
Okay.
Andalites, or perhaps one might say the Star Jammers
Hmm.
because I've been watching the X-Men, the cartoon, and I've been seeing the Star Jammers, who are
Yeah.
basically just the Guardians they're the
Yeah.
same
I
thing.
do. I do remember when they showed up in that cartoon.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Uh.
Yeah, it's like they feel more like mercenaries than they do
Yeah.
like a military force,
Yeah. They definitely don't feel like the military on the dome ship. Okay.
a
Okay.
ragtag team.
So there's our check in on how they feel now. Oh,
Yeah.
what about the part where Axe says we flew, but far enough apart to allay suspicion? Can't forget that. That's the staple of every Animorphs book now.
Yeah, yeah. Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
This bitch turned into an alien bird in the middle of the day outside of a mall.
Yeah, that's true. She was a Caffet bird. We
Who
don't
are
have
you
to
kidding?
mention that nobody noticed that. Fucking yeah.
Ridiculous. Last week you were on TV.
Last week you did 9/11. Don't want to do anything conspicuous like fly too close as different birds. All we do is 9/11s.
As they evacuate the 9/11, the different birds, they're like, guys, spread apart. No one will
Remember
notice.
when fucking Osama bin Laden made a Harrier fly next to an eagle and it was all over the news? Sir, a second bird has started flying next to the eagle.
That's how they found him. That's how they caught him eventually. I
You're
would
right.
never see an osprey next to a hawk.
That's yeah, 0 Dark 30.
There they are. Yeah, that was crazy, that part.
Christ.
Anyway.
All right. Oh, I guess I'll just throw this detail in before we move on. There's the second floor used to be a lab, but it's been sealed off to conserve power.
Yeah, sure.
All right, put a pin in
This
that.
does also, it does harken also back again to Andalite Chronicles with the whole, like taking out a whole bunch of Yeerks. Is that ethical?
Mm-hmm.
In this case, they're really just saying it's more like that's not our mission and it's too dangerous. But I feel like, I don't know if the ethics of it really come up. Maybe later they do a little bit, but
yeah,
maybe...
the ethics of it will come up later.
Yeah.
I think that's the bigger ethical question is at the end. Believe it or not, there's still so much of this book left, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're almost
so
done.
sorry.
Nah, we're almost done.
Okay, so all right, so Estrid shows up in the middle of the debriefing mission, and she's like, "Hey, I want Axe to take me out to the gardens and teach me about Earth." And instead of being like, "What the fuck is your problem?" Gonrun's like, "All right, sure." So Axe and Estrid go out to the gardens together at night, and they walk around alone. We find out that Estrid is an Estrine, and she can morph full clothing.
Yeah.
So she's really good. And Axe gets her some M&Ms from a vending machine, and he explains about the flavor of chocolate. And they play with mouth sounds together, and Axe shows her what a raspberry is, and Estrid loves it and is all giggly. And then
not the fruit,
and then,
to be clear.
No, the thing where you blow with your lips, yeah. But then, and then they kiss.
Ow, 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 ow. Awooga!
Yeah. And then after that, they go flying around and they see Rachel as a grizzly bear, like fucking up a McDonald's, going hog wild. And Cassie's like, "Rachel, stop!" But she won't stop. And they follow her back. And Cassie's like, "Jake, Marco, you have to stop Rachel." And they're like, "Nah." And then Estrid and X fly back to the ship.
Right.
All right. The date.
I thought it was pretty cool when Axe is like the Fonz and he knocks on the vending machine with his hoof to get candy to come out.
Oh yeah, he's pretty cool. Axe is a smooth mover.
And this is really, like you said, this is where the fanfic stuff happens. And it makes me wonder back to those, it was a while ago now that we read those Axe romance fics, if those were written pre or post this book. I don't remember.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, reading this, I'm like, well, it's obvious why they want to ship Axe with characters, because the whole thing of like, oh, let me teach you how a mouth works. It writes itself.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It is. Yeah.
Scenes like this make me wonder: was Kimberly writing fanfic for Animorphs before she got poached for the, or not poached, but brought on for the series?
Yeah, they have another use for mouths. Yes, would you like to experience it? Is it pleasurable? I mean, come on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now this is the scene. Then after this, the date. Rachel's fucking shit up. And then Jake, the other guys are hanging out at the barn. Jake says he's hiding because Tom is picking on him.
Yeah.
And both of them are like, who gives a shit about Rachel?
Yeah.
And this is, I'm assuming, where you were like,
Yeah.
something's fucky here.
The real tell to me as a kid was after they left that and fly back to the ship, there's a part where Estrid's like, "What's that red-tailed hawk doing following us?" And Ax is like, "Oh, that's just a normal
Right.
bird. It's just a normal bird. There's red-tailed hawks all over the place. It's nothing to worry about. It's just a red tail." And I was
Right.
like, uh, hmm, I don't,
Now, I don't know what if this says more about me or about just the writing of these books. That
hmm,
I mean, I did read that part and I went, okay, that's probably Tobias.
yeah,
And I did read this part and go, this is really fucking weird. Like, why it makes no sense. What is Jake talking about? Tom's picking on him. It's ridiculous. But I never, at no point did I go, oh, it's like they have a plot they're hatching. I don't know if that's just because, I mean, I'm not like dwelling. I'm just kind of like reading through and being like, let's just get to the end and see what happens. I'm not like critically trying to analyze it, as I should be reading doing a podcast about this book. Or am I just like, am I at this point in the series like, well, these books aren't well written, so I guess he's just acting out of character because it sucks. I don't know, but
it's fine. Listen, my job is to critically analyze because I've read them, and your job is to
right,
react
right.
since you haven't read them. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
That gets me off the hook. So
yeah.
yeah, even though I was like, that's really fucking weird. Yeah, I guess my first instinct is just to go, they just fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, like we've already, even just this podcast, we've talked about multiple instances from the last two books where we were like, and then the characters were stupid and out of character and badly written. So I don't
Well,
blame you for thinking that.
and here's something else, and maybe you should just say what the thing is, but
Hmm.
it's extremely rare if it's ever happened before, maybe once or twice.
Hmm.
The narrators in these books are never unreliable.
Hmm.
You pretty much see the POV of these characters start to finish. This is a rare book where they just straight up leave shit out. And, if we're
Yeah.
talking about the in universe reality of these characters publishing these books for someone, which they are, because in this book,
Yeah.
Axe says for our human readers. So, he's thinking about an audience writing these.
Yeah.
There is no reason to write it this way from Axe's or an Animorph's perspective, other
Yeah.
than to thrill the reader with a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, I guess at this point we can just say whatever. It's not that complicated. The Animorphs knew they were being spied on and faked the whole breakup thing, and now they're spying on Axe while he's here. I do want to say, reading it with that in mind, when you read that breakup scene, there are points in that where Axe is like, "I was shocked at their reaction," and it's like, "No, you weren't. You planned that.
Oh,
Why
right.
does
He
it
says
say
that
that?"
in POV to
Yeah,
us.
like in POV to us. And that feels like maybe that needed an editing pass or
Maybe
something,
that's
but
why I thought I didn't
yeah.
even after I read the reveal, I didn't maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Maybe they do spell it out. I thought that the plan wasn't until late. Like I still believed them
Mm,
breaking up kind of. And maybe just because they're teenagers and I'm like they're hot-headed. I could sort
mm.
of reason it out. I didn't realize that the plan started that early.
Yeah, maybe it didn't. Maybe I mean, I guess my thought was just okay, so the plan of the Animorphs know they're being spied on, so they fake breaking up and going their own way. They did that against David, and I'm pretty sure they did that
Yeah,
against
yeah,
me and
yeah.
Rachel too. So this is like not
Mm.
even the second time this has happened. So like I
Right.
I know this plan.
Yeah, that's true. That is a good point. When it happens with David, do they spell it out to the reader or do they also treat it like a surprise? I don't remember.
I think they treat it like a surprise half a chapter later
They do a little,
or
well, yeah, they
something.
don't,
Yeah.
yeah, because the whole thing when they trap him as a rat, they don't really tell you what's going on. You
Yeah.
like find out what their plan is, which is like,
But they kind of tell you
then,
like, "Ah, we have a plan. I just hope he falls
yeah, yeah,
for it." But only
yeah.
like, yeah, but it's like, yeah, it's very fast. You're not
It
spending the
is
whole book wondering.
both instances are a little bit just kind of funny again because the only reason to write it that way is for entertainment value, not
Mhm.
for like I'm trying to tell the story of my struggle or whatever ostensibly the idea behind these books
Mhm.
is, which I get hung up on and it doesn't make sense and I need to just let it go anyway.
I mean, that
But
decision
yes.
does does lend itself to certain things throughout this book. Like, for example, there's very little Animorphs in this book, right?
Hmm.
It's mostly Axe.
Well, hey, come on. He's an
Well,
Animorph as much as any of them.
fine, but there's very few human Animorphs. It's mostly Axe on his own with Andalites, and I don't know,
Yeah.
like, if I feel like if you knew the plan, you might want, like, as a kid, you might be expecting a check-in every now and again, and I don't know if that makes the book maybe a
Mm,
little tighter, or if it makes it more confusing, or if it's maybe better
mm.
because it gives you more time to focus on the Andalites, but I think it does have consequences to the way that the book is written here.
I like it overall because it's you just get to focus on Axe,
Mhm,
and it is more about you actually get to have more character development than you normally might in these books,
mhm,
even with the new characters. And but I do think the other side of the coin is that it kind of feels a little cheap to the twist, quote unquote. To me, feels cheap because it's like again, there's not really a
mhm,
justification for it. You just left it out because
yeah.
so that it would be a twist.
Yeah, it does kind of, because one of the nice things about this book is that, like, this whole time you know something is weird about this Andalite group. So you have this mystery you're trying to solve. What is going on with this group of Andalites? Why are they like this? Why are they weird? What's going on? What's the truth of it? And that's something
Right.
that's actually pretty interesting, and the reveals on that are fun, and it's fun to try to figure out. But then you also have the twist of like, oh, the Animorphs weren't gone, and that one does feel a little cheap, I would agree. And I like maybe that one's in there just so that you have another mystery, but it's not really necessary.
The first one is supposed to be distract you so you don't think about the other one, maybe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it could
I
be.
don't know. There's an episode of Veronica Mars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell me about this.
I won't spoil it. It's somewhere in season 1, but there is an episode where it does a similar thing where like you think one thing is happening and at the end it's revealed that Veronica was doing something else. Like she
Mm.
was one step ahead of the viewer and didn't tell us that she
Mm-hmm.
was. And I love it in that episode. And for some, I think maybe because it's a TV show and it's not, even though she does have a voiceover in that show, it still is a little bit more of an omniscient presence with the cameras. Whereas in this book, it's just Axe telling you the story that again, it's just harder to justify to me
Mm-hmm.
why he would just be like, oh, those readers are going to be so surprised. It's
Mm-hmm.
like weird. But I don't. It's too.
Yeah.
You get too in the weeds on that. A lot of things don't make sense. So whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
Okay. Okay. I
How
just
do you
wanted to talk about
feel
Veronica Mars.
about the phrase, "It is Rachel, the angry one. I
Love
fear
it.
her destruction is indiscriminate."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love that's great. Good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yeah. Good stuff. The date is a little bit kind of autism coded,
Sure. Sure.
I feel. I won't elaborate. I don't want to get canceled, but I just feel like
Usually I'm the
it's
one who says that, so it's fine.
yeah. Uh all right. Do you have anything else to say about this date?
No, 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 no. I don't.
Okay. All right.
Let's move on.
Yeah, Axe had this date, and he was all like, "All right, this girl is not a soldier. Like, I don't know who she is, but she's not a soldier." And he's like, "Something's definitely not right." So he heads back to the ship, and he tries to get into the like he goes on the ship's computer, tries to get into the like info on the crewmates, but he can't. It's encrypted. And Aloth catches him and is like, "You know what? I'll just tell you who we are." It turns out, Aloth says, that before this mission, Aloth had been serving a life sentence for selling organs off of the battlefield on the black market. He's a criminal. And Gonrod was also a criminal, and he was in prison for cowardice under fire. Right? He ran away, and so they were both in military prison, and they had both been promised that if this mission succeeds, they would be pardoned. So this is like a suicide squad situation, right? We took the two guys
Ah.
out of jail, we put them on a secret assassination mission. If they succeed, they get pardoned. So like, whoa, right? Things are going crazy. Um, but they're about to get crazier. So they bust in, they go to the sharing meeting, they bust in, and they're gonna kill Visser 3. Arbat is gonna take the first shot, and he misses. Even though it's an easy shot, he misses it and alerts him. And a giant battle begins. Hork-Bajir guards are showing up from everywhere. Visser 3 morphs something small to escape for like the first time ever in the series, which is smart of him. Um, they're all retreating, but Aloth is badly injured, and Axe is like, "Wait, we can still save him." And Arbat's like, "Nope, too late. He's gonna get infested," and shoots Aloth in the head and kills him. Um, so they're back on board the ship. Axe is like, "What the fuck's going on?" Arbat is like, all right. Well, that failed. So now we have no choice but to attack the Yerk pool." And Gonrod's like, "No, I'm a coward. I don't want to go to the Yerk pool." And Arbat's like, "We're going to the fucking Yerk pool. That's what's happening. And Axe, you're gonna show us how." Um, so yeah. So at this point, Axe is like, "Jesus Christ, somebody's dead. This whole thing's does that? What is happening?" So he goes and gets Mr. King the Chi. Remember him?
Of course, Mr. King.
Mr. King the Chi. He gets him to come in and hack into the
First
personnel
name
files.
Burger.
Burger Chi.
Cheeseburger,
The,
cheeseburger.
oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
there you go.
yeah, makes sense. But
Mhm.
Axe couldn't get into them because they were encrypted. But of course, a Chi can because they're super advanced. So he reads the personnel files and he finds out that Aloth, Gonrod, and Arbat are all already listed as dead, and the ship is listed as having already been destroyed. So this is like some kind of crazy suicide mission. They're not supposed to come back. They're all supposed to be dead. And the weirdest thing of all, Estrid isn't even listed at all. She's not on the crew. She's not in the academy. She's not a soldier. She just doesn't exist. All right. So shit just got real, right?
Jesus Christ.
This is where you're like, Jesus fucking hell. Fuck.
That is what I say. That's one of my notes.
Yeah.
This is where I wrote down these guys are like the guardians of the gal. I'm so fucking I'm so stupid. My entire frame of reference for life is just through fucking comic books. But I wrote down these guys are like the guardians of the galaxy of Andalites, and then right after that, oh shit, no, they're the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, they are literally the Suicide Squad to the
Yeah.
point where I really wonder, was this influenced by the Suicide Squad? Because I guess I don't know, maybe that exists somewhere else. That notion of criminals being put together by the
Yeah.
government to do a
I
dangerous
mean,
mission.
that's what the
Is
fuck's
that
that
a
World War II movie?
yeah? Is that yeah? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I love that
With
movie. I forget its name.
not the Great Escape, but it's that Steve McQueen, is he in it?
Fucking Dirty Dozen.
Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll figure
Anyway,
it out.
uh,
Anyway, yeah, but
we know
I
Kay
was
Applegate doesn't read comics. That I know. I don't know about Kimberly Morris though.
Steve
She wrote for
McQueen.
Thundercats. She probably does.
Steve McQueen is not in it.
Okay,
Anyway,
good. Thanks for the clarification.
but I was like, that's cool. Like, I'm into
Yeah.
that. I'm excited about that development. Revel blah 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 is exciting
Mhm.
to me. I love that. It's fun. I'm here for a Suicide Squad. That's great.
Mhm.
This is we do get another Visser 3 assassination attempt that makes me question why they aren't just doing this every week. It's like if
Yeah.
it's this easy, yeah, he's at the sharing. He goes to those sharing meetings. How do you know? Well, his limo's outside.
Yeah.
Well, how about why don't you just like set it on fire or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the problem is the Animorphs don't have guns.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they can't just it would be wrong of them
You know
to
what they
steal a
have?
gun.
You know what they have? Snakes.
You're right.
Drop a snake in the fucking air vent and go to town.
You're fucking right.
Whatever, it's fine. It's just too many assassination attempts like in a short span of time on this guy that
Mhm.
it's like if they're just doing this all the time, then why aren't they just doing it all the time? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's at this point the mission is getting a little bit muddled.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it does seem relatively clear that Arbat missed on purpose and then killed Aloth. As
I'm
opposed to, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, as opposed to, like, things going down normally. Like, something is fucked on this mission.
I definitely was trying to figure out. I'm like, I guess he missed on purpose. I'm not. Why did he miss on purpose? I don't really. Do I know? Do I understand that?
They'll tell us later. But
Okay.
basically, the point is that the reason we're going to find out is that that's not the actual true purpose of this mission, and the mission's supposed to be like complete off the record Black Ops not happening, and if he completed it, Gonrod would send back a communication saying mission complete. And he was like, "Nope, can't have that."
Uh,
They
Complicated.
explicitly say that in the book. Yeah. Oh yeah,
Okay.
it's complicated. It's like some spy shit.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Why doesn't he just kill Gonrod?
They still need Gonrod to pilot the ship because they're not done.
I guess so. I guess. They use the
It,
word abrogate.
oh, do they?
Yeah, I didn't know that word.
I don't know that word.
Yeah, so that's I just
So now
thought
I missed it.
I like when I get to learn a word from Animorphs. I think it just meant make worse.
Okay, I was gonna say, are you gonna teach us what it means, or
I did look it up, but I don't remember I didn't write down the context of it.
okay, okay,
But yeah, I think it meant like to make worse, abrogate. It's like exacerbate. I could be wrong. Maybe it means the opposite. I don't know.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
crazy. Crazy shit.
But yeah, I mean, this like again, crazy, complicated web of spy shit subplot in the middle of introducing all these Andalite characters and all this Andalite shit, and does not come off as complete nonsense gibberish slop. Like you can follow it. Good writing.
Yeah, it does a little bit come off that way when you summarize it in 2 minutes, but when you're reading it, it
Yeah.
flows better.
It is very hard to pack that information in there without going on literally forever. But
Yeah, which
what
you
do you
did
want from
anyway.
me? What do you want
Better,
from me?
more,
Um,
a lot.
Axe here repeats Rachel's "Let's rock and roll" phrase.
Pretty cool. Hasta la
That's
vista, baby.
yeah, that's pretty good. We find out about plexine vapor, which Gonrod releases over a 2,000-mile grid to keep their sensors from picking up atmospheric disruption.
Okay.
We hear a bit about Estrid and how she does Plint conorhythmic equations, which are the plaything of genius.
Hmm.
Uh, this is also the part where they say, okay, so everybody on the ship is listed dead. On board the ship, the Rallick River, which is not what they said the ship was called, and I thought maybe it wasn't supposed to be this, but later on in the book, they were like, nope, that's the Rallick River. So I think they just forgot.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I thought that was like another ship they made up that was like in another, like it was on another planet. Maybe there really was a Rallick River somewhere
yeah.
else, and
That's
they're
what I
saying they
figured too,
died
until later
there.
on, where they're like, there it is, the Rallick River, come just, yeah.
Yeah, I know that. Then I think that's the mistake. The second
Okay,
time
okay.
they say it,
That
or
makes
I
sense.
don't. Who knows? One of them is a mistake.
But yeah, they were supposed to have been killed in the Rackham Guru system with the rest of the fleet here.
Rackham Guru.
Rackham Guru.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So cool stuff. Do we want to reveal all?
Yeah. Reveal all now.
Now it is time to reveal all. Okay. So remember how I mentioned earlier that sealed off unused second tier of the ship? I
Hmm.
said put a pin in that. Well,
Ah, yeah.
Axe hears sounds coming from it, and he goes into the unused tier and is immediately overwhelmed with the stench of death.
Yikes.
Whoa, fucked up. And there's a lab in there, and Estrid is working on some kind of like chemical mixture thing. She has like a vial, and Axe interrogates her and finds out what's going on. So what's going on? Yeah, she's not an heiress. She's never been to the academy. She is a prodigy, genius type. And she is, of course, studying Plint-conorhythmic physics at the University of Advanced Scientific Theory. She is Arbat's student, and she is working on a prion quasi-virus, which is basically another quantum virus, but this one's for Yerks. And we also find out that not only is this a biological weapon they're going to use to genocide the Yerks, there's the possibility that it might mutate and become deadly to their hosts and genocide humans as well. Um, so we kind of figure out Arbat basically pretended to be a university professor and then groomed this child prodigy to do war crimes research.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, the Vista 3 assassination thing, that's a cover up. That's not why they're here. They want to get to the Yerk pool so that they can put the new quantum virus thing in and do some genocide off the record. And it's all black ops. Hush hush, no one's supposed to know about it. Um Axe is like, Arbat's gonna kill you to erase all knowledge of the mission, and Estrid's like, oh shit, oh fuck, oh no, but and Arbat shows up and locks them in, and takes the virus thing and goes off to do it on his own. And Estrid's like, oh no, what have I done? We're fucked. But this is where we get the reveal, because the Animorphs are here as bugs. They've been here the whole time, and they release Axe and Estrid, and then they can all go to try to stop Arbat.
Christ.
All right.
By the way, the whole book I was going, should I know who Arbat is? And when they said that he was Alaran's brother, I was like, did they like mention that before? And then I realized doing this podcast, no, it just sounds like Arbron.
Okay.
I just was like, because I'm like, the name sounds so familiar for some reason. No, it's just very similar to Arbron, which I feel like it shouldn't be.
That's fair. I wonder if Arbat even is Alaran's brother. That could have just been a lie.
I assumed it was at this point.
Yeah, that would make sense if it
maybe
was.
It's true. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, like this is I like this. I like that Estrid is just like, or yeah.
Sorry. Well, I was just remembering in the opening scene, Visser 3 says something to him like, "Oh, Arbrat, it's you," which sounds like maybe he read something in some. I think they are maybe brothers for real.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. The problem is that K. Applegate intentionally made sure they didn't have the same last name if they were related, so that doesn't help.
I'm clicking on Seropedia to see if it says it doesn't. Oh yeah, no, relatives, brother. Seropedia at least considers it canon.
Sure, but
which
of
course
really
means
trust them?
His sister-in-law would be Jahar.
Oh, that's true.
The sexy Jahar.
Love that Jahar.
Okay,
but yeah, anyway. I like this backstory plot of like Estrid, the lonely child genius who like everyone shunned because she was so much younger, and who they didn't respect her because she was a girl, but she was like super smart. And then Arbat was all like, I'll be the only one who listens and cares and looks out for you. Come do war crimes research. And she was like, yay, finally someone who understands me. I like
Indiana Jones to her Marion Ravenwood.
Yeah, but evil.
Right, but evil. Yeah.
We all know that British archaeologist people are good.
Well, he's American, come on.
Yeah, but he works for a British museum, doesn't he?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he teaches at a British university.
Yeah, well, that's why he's good because he's American.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, it is good. It is a fun reveal. They didn't learn their lesson about germ warfare, obviously. You know what their lesson was? Their lesson was that you know how many more Hork-Bajir there would have been if we didn't do that? The lesson was we shouldn't have let Aldrea fuck it all up. That's why they're still Hork-Bajir. Yeah. And
they learned.
I do like everything you were saying about Estrid feels like it is very similar to Aldrea's arc as well, which I think makes sense that it's consistent with how the Andalites treat women, which is not great.
Which is not great, no.
So yeah.
One thing I like about this is that before this reveal, I definitely, when I was a kid, my thought is Estrid is a spy and she's seducing Axe to try to get him on board. And like after this reveal, my thought about Estrid is, no, Estrid was legit into Axe. Like she had no friends growing up because she was a child prodigy who got accelerated beyond her grade. She had no friends in school. Her only like person who she had any connection with is this mentor. And now all of a sudden she meets this guy her own age, and he's Elfangor's brother, and he's like a badass fighter, and he's like kind of cute and charming, and he's into her. She's like probably really into him. She's probably gonna grow up and go to like, all her like Andalite lady friends and be like, when I was younger, I dated Elfangor's little brother.
Yeah, I agree. Who the hell wouldn't be into him? He's cute as hell.
Yeah, it's good.
He's disturbingly attractive in human morph.
That's true. He's probably disturbingly attractive as an Andalite too.
I think it's a over. I mean, we are talking about getting into the heavy shit earlier,
Hmm.
and I do think this is more heavy shit in that is effective in the sense that Estrid is sort of representative of a militaristic people that
Hmm.
are committing war crimes,
Hmm.
and Axe is at first wants to align himself with his people, but he is able to see that they are in fact war criminals, and he allies himself with, in fact, a different other sides of the equation. It's an interesting,
Axe is kind of the
potentially,
Aldrea this time.
yeah, yes, that's correct. Yeah. But at one point, perhaps he would have been the Estrid, so he's come a
Yeah,
long way.
he has. I think a lot of this book is, it's very like this is like a little bit of a I don't know if it's a cap exactly, but it is like filling out that arc from like I need to learn that these are my people to like I have been tested and I kind of failed to now I'm tested and this time turns out I was just fully with the Animorphs the whole time. I never
Yeah,
I fully agreed to just let them spy on my fellow Andalites and follow Jake's orders to do that. Never questioned it. It's all good.
very
And
clear at
he's
this
paid off for
point.
it.
Yeah, he is. We know whose side he's on, no
Hmm.
question,
Yeah. Um,
and we get it.
so one question that I think we had asked earlier in the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, and now we're coming back to it finally, is why not use a quantum virus on the Yerks? Why on the Hork-Bajir? And now they're doing it.
Yeah, now they're doing it.
Now they are doing it.
It might also kill humans though, for some reason.
Because Yerks infest them, so it might jump to them because they're in our bodies. But
Is
I mean,
that what they say?
that is basically what they say.
All right.
Like it could, there's a chance. Now, I wish they hadn't quite undercut the message with like, "Oh, it'll also kill humans," because
Hmm.
they do go out of their way to make it like clear that it's bad that they want to just outright genocide the Yerks, right? Like, uh,
Yeah.
Estrid does have a whole speech where she's all like, "Listen, this will let us wipe out the Yerks," and like, think how great that is. We'll have the ultimate weapon. Anybody tries with the Yerks try again, we can do the same thing to them. From now on, anybody makes trouble, the Andalites genocide them. It's good. And Axe is like, I don't think that's good. Um, so like, it is clear that the book understands that that's bad, even if it's not humans. But I also understand why they kind of need to make it humans because if if there is no chance that it jumps to humans, then like Margot and Rachel are just coming out like, no, I think we should do it. And now the Animorphs have to debate the morality of it. And now we have to add like 5 chapters of them debating the morality of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It does feel like why even mention that part? Like why what if she just didn't tell him about that? Then they'd just be like, yeah, do it. Like even like Axe would be in favor of it for sure, don't you think?
I mean, it
Uh,
does feel like Axe takes issue with Estrid's speech. When she's like,
hmm,
we can
that's
just
true.
genocide everybody. Axe is like, no, that's bad. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still a very genocidal mindset about the Yerks, don't get me wrong, but he does at least recognize that that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, but I see what you're saying. The human thing kind of it makes it maybe a little too easy.
Hmm.
But again, but also like you said, there's just you can
Yeah.
only do so much in one
There's,
book.
yeah, you kind of have to make it easier because it's so fucking.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it gets us back into that Yerk pool, baby.
it does get us back to that Yerk pool. Oh, I do need to mention because
Come
I have
on.
to say every name. I have to mention Ajet Litsum Est, who's Estrid's brother, who's the top scoring exhibition tail fighter, and that's why she's so good at tail fighting.
Yeah, cool.
Everyone needs to know these
All
things.
right,
It's important.
we're almost done. Let's get to it.
I'm going to reference him constantly going
We're
forward.
almost done.
All right. So so they go down to the Yerk pool to intercept Arbat. He's down there in human morph. He pulls out a weapon on him. They go battle morphs. Chaos ensues. Blah blah blah. Estrid is like freaking out about how horrible the pool is. She's like, "Fuck it, we should just genocide them. Look how terrible they are." And Axe, she's panicking, and Axe leaves her to hide there, and is like, "You know what, Estrid? I do not think I like you very much." Um, More fighting. Arbat's about to drop the vial into the pool, and Estrid shoots Arbat's hand off and disintegrates the vial of quantum virus. Um, it looks like they're gonna lose to all the Yerks, but it turns out Tobias has gotten Gonrod to come to their rescue, and the ship burns a hole down through the McDonald's, obliterating the McDonald's, and comes in, starts causing chaos, and the Animorphs escape with Gonrod, and they leave Arbat there to be devoured alive by taxons, because he's missing a hand and bleeding out, and they eat him.
Like they needed an excuse.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, action sequence, tie it all up. Big thing in the Yerk pool. Less chaotic than most action sequences, honestly, and some good Yerk pool horror, I think. Classic, good
Yeah.
old classic Yerk pool horror.
Yeah, they don't they don't dwell on it, but it's still there. It's not
Hmm.
the Yerk pool is yet to be diluted, so to speak, in terms of its fucked
Yeah.
upness.
Yeah, it is more just asides, but there are just bits where it's like, yeah, I was walking down the stairs. They were kind of slippery with gore because the Taxons had a feeding frenzy here earlier. I don't know what that was about. Not relevant to the book. Let's keep going, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
People are screaming, they're crying. It's how it is.
Yeah, that's just
Uh
what it is.
I'd liked this. I don't know if this is intentional or not. It's
Hmm.
probably not. It's probably just a coincidence, but I like that Axe describes the taxons as having red jelly eyes, whereas usually they say red jello, like the brand name. He
Mm.
says jelly, which is maybe because he doesn't have as much of a frame of reference for jello.
Oh, Tobias has got to get on that. Tobias should be showing Axe all the good foods.
Well,
What kind of
at this
shorm is
point,
he?
he's probably seen these messages for jello, but
Mice, shrews, rabbits.
Jello. It's alive. Um, I was a little confused at first about how he shoots her hand, which is holding the vial of chemical.
Well, she shoots his hand, but
Or
yeah,
sorry, she shoots his hand,
yeah.
and then the vial falls.
No, I think she just disintegrates the vial in the shredder blast. I think.
So
I
like
think.
the it just nullifies the effect of the virus. Like
Well,
it's just gone. It's vaporized.
I mean,
Or
if
did
it's
it?
blowing it apart at a like molecular level, then sure, maybe.
All right. I
I
guess
don't know.
I just don't.
Don't
I'm
worry
just.
about it. It's
I'm
blown
sort of.
up. It's destroyed.
It just seems like if someone's holding, typically, like now maybe I don't understand how Dracon or Shredders work,
Mhm,
but like typically, if you're thinking of a climactic action scene in a movie or something where someone's holding a vial of a deadly virus,
mhm.
usually what you don't want them to do is drop it or to potentially shatter it. Like that would be the bad outcome.
Yeah. Well, that's because they're not using like super phaser technology that shreds apart the atoms.
Okay. It feel just as when I was reading it, I kind of thought, oh, so she just unleashed the virus? But I guess no, it doesn't.
Yeah, it is
It
true.
just
You do
doesn't work that
expect
way.
Axe to be like, no, and dive under. He already did that
Because
earlier, by the
usually,
way. We
like,
kind of skipped that scene, but
yeah, right. But like in this kind of a situation, usually the fun of it is the like, the hot potato. Like, don't let it hit the ground. Oh
Mhm.
my god, we got to get the MacGuffin. But it's just kind of just fucking shoot it. So, all right, fine. We don't have time for this.
Mhm.
Whatever. It's fine. I just was confused. I didn't know what was going on. And then the ship like drills a hole through the Earth's surface
Yeah,
with a big laser beam or something,
yeah,
which also like heats up the Yerk pool and maybe boils some Yerks.
yeah. I think that happens. Yeah, they like come.
Okay,
They say later it's through the McDonald's. They're like, "What's the weakest
right.
point we need to blast there?" And Tobias is like, "It's probably over the McDonald's." So they obliterate McDonald's. Hope no one was in that McDonald's.
No, they said it was closed for renovation or
Okay,
something.
okay,
They
good.
do they do literally say that.
There were no controllers in there. That wasn't a ruse at the controller McDonald's that it was closed. It was really closed for renovations for real.
And Yeah, it's just a lot of crazy I mean, if you thought a 9/11 was crazy, they blew up a McDonald's and like how are the Yerks covering up this hole into their Yerk pool? I
Man, if
don't
you thought 9/11 is crazy, imagine if you lost a burger.
but a spaceship, I mean, I guess it's cloaked or something. It's just
Yeah, I don't.
some crazy fucking shit occurs
Yeah,
here.
this town is insane. We do need the Buffy scene where they're like, all right, everybody knows we live in a wacko town, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a hellmouth. Like, what's
Yeah.
at this point, I mean, or we just assume that the entire news media is fully run by Yerks. There's no need to cover it up because they're all completely in control of what gets out. I don't know.
Yeah. It feels like they still go after like York specific channels, but yeah, it really only makes sense if the news media and the police are all Yorks at this point, which they should be.
And I guess
I don't
people
know.
don't have, there's not camera phones really. So they're,
Hmm.
otherwise, forget it.
Yeah,
The-
no, then it's just, yeah.
I do like that they left Arbat to get eaten. It's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it's good.
It's very fucking hardcore. He even is like, I could save you when he doesn't. It's kind of fucked up, honestly.
Yeah. I love it every time we get to see Taxons do some cool stuff like eat a guy alive.
Yeah, very cool. We love that.
Yeah,
We
my
really
favorite.
support that.
I
Now,
do.
I think we need a mnemonic device to kind of remember something along the lines of um uh, if a taxon he be, then that's Arbron you see. But if by taxons was eaten, that's how Arbat was beaten.
Sure. I feel
Because
like you
otherwise,
could just switch the names in that one and it would sound the same.
yeah, I know, but whatever. That's how those
Taxon
things
he be
work.
Arbat I don't know. Whatever you say.
If a taxon begat, then that was Arbat.
But wait, hold
No.
on.
If he made a taxon fat, then that was Arbat.
Okay,
But
okay.
but if the living hive he's on, then that's Arbron.
I don't know what you're on over there.
I'm just trying to get it straight to help listeners if they're ever in a situation where they can't remember which Arb did what. Now you can know.
I feel like you already had this problem with Arbron, and in the end, like Chronicles, you were like Alaran and Arbron are already too close together, or something
Yeah,
like that.
I think you're right. So I
Yeah,
mean, this is clearly much worse. I mean, they're not in the same book, so I guess it's excusable.
yeah.
I don't also I don't know. Is it supposed to be like? Is this like someone named John and Johnny? Like, is this just a what's the word I'm looking for? A convention of Andalite names, or is it just
Well,
sheer coincidence?
since Andalite names are all in your head, these two actually sound completely different. And it turns out Elfangor and Arbat are homophones.
I mean, don't even get me started on like, is this ship really called the MST-37, or is that like what letters is it?
Yeah, how do you feel about old Andalite, which we've heard about earlier? You know,
Old?
back yeah. It's not
You mean?
modern Andalite speak.
Right?
Old
Yeah, I
Andalite.
don't. I'm not even gonna think about that.
Hold Wara. All right,
Anyway,
so
so the book's
so
over.
yeah, book is basically over. Gonrod and Estrid leave and they go back to their home planet, and Axe doesn't go with them. He stays to fight with the Animorphs. And he gives Estrid a cinnamon bun as a going away present and still does not like her. And we have like a fade out as Axe cries while Cassie holds his hand.
Isn't that
Um,
nice?
that is nice. I mean, what do you feel about Axe's decision to stay? Is that like how do you feel? Do you feel like that is an arc throughout the book that you're worried that he might leave, or is that just something entirely from the promotional material?
I mean, the only reason you think he might leave is if you believe that they all broke up,
Hmm.
which I did. But I also didn't believe that they would stay broken up.
Okay.
So I can't say I was ever really like, oh, he's gonna leave with them.
Hmm.
But I mean, part of that is because I just knew. Well, it's not like they're
Yeah.
not going to kill Visser 3. Like I
Right.
know
Yeah.
they're not going to resolve this war today. So
Yeah. But no, like Axe is homesick and misses his people, so maybe given the opportunity, he would go back.
yeah,
I don't know.
I think especially well, they kick it off with the scene with the meeting of Axe being fully on board with no, Jake is my prince.
Hmm.
100%, these are my people now. So it's
Okay.
like they immediately establish that why that's very unlikely to happen.
Okay. So this book is kind of the capstone to that idea, but not like it doesn't like progress throughout the book or anything like that. Like you don't.
Yeah, I don't think so
Okay.
really.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
I mean, I thought this was a pretty good book. It's certainly a far. It's also, I'm like, I don't know. I almost have to question. I'm like, is this a good book, or am I just like a man in the desert dying of thirst, and I'll take
Mhm.
any drop of water I can get after last week's book?
I like this book. I think this book is good. I do agree with you. It is hard. It's going to get harder to judge if the good books are actually good because of that exact problem.
But yeah, it felt good while I was reading it. I mean, I raised some questions of logic, but overall, I enjoyed the direction it took, and I thought it was a good Axe book, which we haven't had in a long time, so it was
Hmm.
appreciated.
Yeah, good Axe book. I always love seeing alien perspectives. Um,
Yeah,
lot of different like lore dumps, a lot of like really cool, intricate plot ideas, new characters, all that stuff handled actually well in a way that is interesting and I could follow and it works. Um, actual implications for the story going forward, like the Andalites aren't coming
yeah,
quickly and they might be kind of fucked. And what are they going to do about that? That is a big deal. So this book matters, and that does matter 100%. It makes it feel less like bullshit. Yeah, I like the book. I think it's quite good.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, good job, Kim. Hold on.
Kim.
No, hold on. Morris.
Yeah.
Good job. Well, and now that does give me this book does give me hope more for those later books. I'm like, oh, I'm excited to see her return to those.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's still some good ones in here.
We'll see how we'll see. Like I said, who knows what could happen every week? It's a new adventure. Let's real quick do
Who
the pop
knows?
culture
Hmm.
because there's not a ton this week, which goes back to our theory that maybe the less pop culture, the better the book.
Hmm.
Marco says, thanks, Spock. Sure you're not a Vulcan? And X says a thing about how, haha, Star Trek aliens all look the same. Haha.
Hmm.
What's the problem, Marco? Missing the Rugrats marathon? Do we think this is because they're on Nickelodeon that they're like, we can
Mm,
make Nickelodeon reference? Last book we got Blue's Clues.
that might be.
Even though I'm pretty sure at this point the show's probably over. I don't know. Axe slices sheetrock with his tail. Cinnabon? Cinnabon for you. Me, I'm a taco kind of guy, Tobias says, which is why he later says, let's hit the Bon and the Taco Bell.
Should have said the Bon and the Bell.
He should have. But man, don't you want to go to the mall now and say, let's hit the Bon and the Taco Bell?
I do. I wish there was a Taco Bell in my mall. It's not. It's somewhere else. It's not actually in the mall.
Yeah, that sucks. A girl wore a Burger King tunic and slacks. I saw a girl inside the doorway of Express. They talk about the Andalites doing a D-Day, and then no more Geneva Convention warfare. Somebody says live long and prosper. Uh, Axe gets jelly.
Motto.
Sorry, M&Ms for Estrid.
Hmm.
Grizzly Bear, Rachel terrorizing humans in the McDonald's parking lot. Maybe perhaps the famous parking lot from the inside cover. Not my problem. Me, I like Burger King. Does Marco say that, or is that Tobias who says he likes? I think Marco says it.
Feels like a Marco. Yeah.
He's a Burger King guy,
Could-
which in the year 2000, that position is acceptable
yeah.
because
Not
Burger
anymore.
King was good back then. Yeah, no. Someone is a quote regular Einstein. anything but McDonald's because they obliterated it with the ship. And but if we want burgers, I'm thinking Burger King again. Maybe that's Tobias. I feel like Tobias gets in on the Burger King love.
Yeah, I think he does get in. I think you're right. I think that ending one is Burger King.
Anything else?
That's all I had.
Okay. We didn't do too bad this week.
No, could have been worse. Could have been worse.
But it was an interesting book, and it was a nice refresher or a refreshing book to read after last week. So
Mhm.
hopefully all the
Yeah.
listeners agree.
They love it.
But you can let us know if you agree or disagree by emailing us. theyerkyboys@gmail.com. It doesn't have to be about this book. It could be about a general Animorphs concept or an older book. We will read it on the show. We will discuss it, and you'll probably add a good 10 to 15 minutes to the episode if you do it. So go ahead and do
And
it.
if you want to hear more of us or support us in continuing to do this, although we will do it anyway, you can subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/the Yerky Boys. This week we are going to be talking about something. Is it? Is
Yeah,
it
what are we
actually
going to be
going to
talking
be
about?
fucking Thundercats, or is it going to be like fucking
I don't
Cinnabon?
know.
What is it going
I
to be?
don't know. We
Should
didn't
we edit it
decide.
in?
I don't know. Or just you're gonna have to tune in to find out, baby.
We'll figure something out.
Last week we talked about
I'm
the
sorry.
thing.
We
What a
did
great
talk about
time.
the thing last week. All
Okay.
right. Well,
Uh,
thanks every. Oh, did you
hey,
want to?
come on. I want to let me plug.
All right, all right, all right, all right.
Follow me online at
I'm just trying to make it not take too
jonathanestis.com,
long.
at Jonathan Estes on Blue Sky. I haven't posted anything there for like a month. Who cares? Bye. That's it. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. You say it. Now you say. I'm done.
Tune in next time when we'll be talking about Book 39, The Hidden, in which Cassie turns into a Cape Buffalo on the Yerky Boys.
Come on.